Can you hear me so good?
Welcome into Normal Community High School. Football is upon us. John Camosa, Gavin Russell here for ClutchSportsIL.com. Game of the Week sponsored by Dominos. Normal Community and Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin ready to take each other on in a big opening week matchup. Again, John Camosa, Gavin Russell here. Big game, John, opening week. It's been really hot out. It's been an absolute scorcher, but nothing more you can ask for than great Friday night lights.
Oh, exactly. And Gavin, week one, I haven't seen a loaded schedule like this in quite some time. This is a high-powered matchup. SHG, state champions last year in 4A, undefeated, but they're losing legendary coach Ken Leonard, retired last season. John Allison taking over, and this Normal Community team, they are loaded.
Indeed, and you mentioned Ken Leonard, the legendary coach, 39 seasons at Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin, 6 state titles, winningest coach in Illinois history. Hard to replace, but talking about John Allison, he's been an assistant on the staff. He's been familiar 18 years on the staff at SHG. He's the man to replace him.
Yeah, it's such a good hire there, and you absorb all that knowledge from Ken Leonard, and I think he's really kind of primed and ready to get this team focused tonight. 22 starters graduated from last season, but still a really experienced Cyclones team.
Indeed, and on the other side, Jason Drinowitz for Normal Community. He's in his 5th season with the Ironmen. He, too, was a longtime assistant with the Ironmen, 14 season. He's done some great things. His 4 full seasons, excluding that COVID year, of course, all playoff appearances and having the Ironmen in the right direction.
Yeah, it really starts on defense, too, and Normal Community, that's where they pride themselves. And then on the offensive end, some high-caliber players that we'll touch on here, but it all starts with Tommy Davis and quarterback Kyle Beatty.
Indeed, and if you want more, we will talk about more players, talk about more of this and that, you can get the new CSM Overtime, just dropped a few weeks ago. There at the graphic on your screen. You can subscribe. You know, again, CSM maybe has been built on providing free coverage and things, but the extent of what we're doing, going farther and better, is second to none, anybody in the area.
Yeah, it really is. You know, just released that, all 31 teams in this area with preview stories, and Gavin, really excited what we're doing here, but I'm excited for week one.
Week one is upon us, but a quick look at CSM Overtime. Take a look at this commercial, tell you a little more about CSM Overtime and what to expect. We'll be right back with the game.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to
Sorry to cut you short there on the CSM Overtime informational video, but it's time for football. Cut away for a good reason because they're ready to go. Kickoff is upon us. Normal Community SHG here at Dick Tharp Field in Normal. Ironmen ready to kick it off, and they booted away SHG. And as the young season gets upon us, we have a stoppage. Shocker.
Little jitters early on. First game of the season, time to clean up some little mental mistakes, but Gavin, it really cooled off. It was a hot one like you said today, but now sun setting, and what a beautiful night for some football.
Indeed, some weather perhaps to the west of Normal here. Not sure if it's going to make its way here. There's some rain coming, so perhaps cooling things down. The dark sky to our left looking ominous, but the football is looking promising.
And SHG playing in front of a big Normal Community crowd. They really want to try to set the momentum early to be a big possession. We always talk about that first drive, how important it is in a big game like this.
And here's the do-over kickoff. It will be fielded back. They're going to run it out. And will be tackled immediately. Bringing it out was Josh McLean for SHG. Blown up on the play, though. That is Caden Moss.
You always want that big defensive play to start your season, and right there, what a tackle from the Ironman defense.
Moss was in there. Correction. The full tackle is going to go to Aiden Boundy. So a couple Ironmen coming to shut the door on the kick return. SHG will get going. They'll be at the 10-yard line. Long field to go. New starter Levi Hanauer drops back. Dump off pass and tackled immediately. Ethan Hagel, as we'll get into talking some more about these players. Kind of off the top, John, as we look at the landscape for both of these teams. SHG winning a state title a season ago in 4A. They lost 19 of 22 starters, including their quarterback, running back, many other prominent positions. How do you rebound in a big game like this?
Yeah, you know, you see this every year when you lose a big portion of your seniors. You got to rebuild, kind of that next man up mentality, but a lot of great running backs, wide receivers on that side, losing Singleton and Hamilton. Right now, this defense, though, from Normal Community, kind of getting the best of the young SHG Cyclones early in this first quarter.
And tackled back at the 1. It was a botched snap. Hanauer couldn't recover. The 2-yard line, and things just not going right here in the first possession for SHG, but let's go the other way. Normal Community, they've got a lot of monsters on their defensive line. Dexter Niekamp, AJ Montoya, Caden Moss. A lot of guys to look at for the Ironmen.
Yeah, really picking up where they left off last season. They stack that front line, and they can get you in a heartbeat. Got to get that ball off quick, but Gavin, this roster, you know, losing some players as well, but bringing those guys up, finding their strengths on defense in another rebuild year.
Hanauer going, throwing on the run. Can't hit his man on the outside. Would not have been enough for a first down, and it'll be 4th and almost in their own end zone. 4th and 2. As we get going here early in the game. Kind of a rushed start. They had pregame festivities going on here at Normal, honoring the seniors, and kind of just jumped right into starting the football game. Not much build up, but everybody's already excited, so no need to do that.
And watch these two players on the punt return team, Marquin Gary and Tommy Davis. We talked so much about Tommy Davis last year, the 5'9" senior, a real threat in the backfield for the Ironmen.
Flag on the play. And we talked a little bit about the SHG offense. This Normal Community offense will be coming up. We'll get a word on what the flag is here momentarily. Perhaps they're going to just, no, they will indeed move the ball forward. I believe it was too many men on the field for Normal.
One of the players running off, so ball moves up a little bit, but chance here for Normal Community to receive and get our first look at them on offense.
We'll get a look into them in a moment. Here's the punt. It is blocked, and it's going to go out of bounds. No chance to return because of the block. It looks like that was Aiden Boundy again. 2 big plays on special teams for the senior, Aiden Boundy.
And how about that field position to open up your season? What a defensive stop there from Normal Community.
Indeed it was. Normal will take over their first time. And let's get a look at a couple of key Normal players this season, starting with Tommy Davis. Tommy Davis missed some games last season for the Ironmen, still rushed for a good number of yards last season despite missing the 5 games. 515 rush yards, 255 receiving. And then Kyle Beatty, returning quarterback who stepped in as a sophomore unexpectedly, played 8 games and was fantastic. He'll hand it off to Davis, cutting through the middle, getting some productive yards. But John, thoughts on that quarterback-running back duo?
Yeah, it's been so effective for them, especially going from last season to this season. But Kyle Beatty has the ability to really air it out, but also can keep it on the ground himself. And then when you have a player like Tommy Davis in your backfield, really opens up the ability to be a run and pass-heavy team.
Beatty last season stepping in, again, a sophomore, 1,300 yards, 22 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, all first Big 12 conference team member. They'll hand it off again. Davis barreling up the middle and a touchdown. Second offensive play for the Ironmen. And they strike first, 6-0 Iron.
Great start there from the Ironmen. It all started on the defensive end, and then, boom, right up the middle with Tommy Davis. How many times did we see that play last season?
Fired up sprints across the sideline, much to the happiness of the Normal community faithful, showing out incredibly well. The kick is up, and it is good, 7-0 early here in the game. And you got to like that start. Everything has clicked in the first just couple of minutes of the season. Special teams, defense, and offense, 2 plays and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see if you're Normal community, hosting the defending state champions in Sacred Heart Griffin. And Gavin, you couldn't have said it any better, but what a defensive stop. Able to block the punt, get it right back in great field position, and then Tommy Davis takes it to the house for 6.
SHG will try to rebound in their second possession. Really, John, probably just need to get farther out on this kick return.
Yeah, you do. Get yourself in some good field position. Just kind of find that flow in your offense. But it is going to be hard to play through such a solid defensive team in Normal community. But they got to get that offense going, kind of basing it off of last season.
Ready to kick away again. William Castro for the Iron. And back again, Josh McLean, who went just about nowhere last time. He's back there with Trent Caldwell. 7-0 Ironmen. 9:35 to go in the first. Kick is up. Fielded. Caldwell. He'll take it. He'll try to make a move. Nowhere to go once again. This time coming in for the Iron, Craig Bennett.
And there just lost his footing a little bit. The defender able to get to him as he slipped. But once again, Normal community keeps them in their own backfield there and trying to make another big defensive stop.
SHG looking to get things rolling here. They'll start this time on the 17, a little better than their first drive. Hanauer hands it off, keeps it himself though. Gets a block and will get a few yards. Pushed out of bounds. SHG sideline bargaining for a late hit flag. No dice. Fooled me right there, John. I really thought that was just going to be a pretty simple handoff to Ethan Hagel, who we'll get a little more into. 10-yard run, but nice keeper from Hanauer.
Yeah, those are the plays that you need if you're SHG. And like I said, kind of faked out the defense a little bit, able to quarterback keep it himself, and picks up some nice yardage.
Hanauer off the first down run. Going to keep it himself. Going to throw. Airs it out over the middle. Caught by his man right there, and he'll be down. Seamus O'Brien with a catch. So now SHG in business. 2 plays, 2 first downs.
Great throw right over the middle. They're able to split 2 defenders collapsing in on it and get that sliding catch, but right to the 50-yard line just about for SHG, and they can feel some of that momentum.
Just shy of the 50, 49-yard line. First 2 productive plays on offense. Hanauer alone in the backfield. Man in motion, takes the snap, throwing again, throws over the middle. O'Brien once again, his favorite target to start this ball game, and 3 plays and 3 first downs.
Just great slant routes there from O'Brien, able to beat his man, get upfield, and Hanover showing some really nice throwing ability.
But hold the phone. There was a flag on the play. I missed it. I think just about everybody else missed it. Everybody was walking up. Illegal man downfield. And for a team with, again, a lot of new starters, perhaps guys that plugged and played a lot last year at times, came up off the bench. They're not used to that constant starting, you know, the constant snaps one after another, perhaps working out a few of those kinks with some of the penalties.
Yeah, these are little things you work out over time, but, you know, early in the season, week one, you know, turn into some new guys, things you can clean up.
Hanauer keeps it himself, fake the pitch, still going, level by the Ironman. Blake Potts coming in and just took him down.
Yeah, what a hit there from Potts, the 5'10" senior on senior night, laying the hit.
Potts last season was another all-conference member of the Big 12. One of several returning Ironmen. They return about half or so. Their starters. Throws again over the middle. Passing has been to the success so far of SHG. Looked like he got to Jake Kepler that time.
And Gavin, you and I talked before the game, you know, some of those key players, and Jake Kepler, certainly that key piece on offense to turn to, the 6'3", 220-pound tight end for SHG, getting offers from Butler, Western Illinois, so that's a Division I recruit in your backfield.
Little reverse action here, and enough for some yards. It's going to be McLean on the kind of reverse jet sweep action. And John Allison, as we kind of alluded to in our open, you know, of course, being on the staff, knows this program about as any better probably than anybody but Ken Leonard. But he's also the offensive coordinator for some years. So you have your offensive coordinator take over as head coach, you're going to be an offensive team.
Yeah, and all those years under Leonard, you could see these plays that Leonard ran, developed such a great team. Right now it's showing, and SHG putting together some of that momentum on offense, getting the ball moving.
Lost a couple yards right there with a little check down throw. Hagel was the receiver. 3rd and 4, and as good as this drive has been for the Cyclones, now you get the Irons starting to fire up. You got a 3rd down. This could be a big chance to hold.
Yeah, 3rd and 4. See what SHG does on this play. Do they run? Do they go for another pass play? But this is where your front line for Normal Community wants to make this big stop.
No men in the backfield. Hanauer by himself. Rushed immediately and taken out. Got the throw off, but had no time as the Ironman had the blitz dialed up. John, first chance of the season. I always pose this to the color commentator, but do you go for it?
Yeah, you go for it in a game like this. Normal Community got the early score. You've been putting together some great plays to drive downfield. This would be a huge push here for SHG if they can get it across.
4th and 4. Hagel in the backfield. Man in motion. Hanauer takes the snap. Takes it himself. He's going to have more than enough for a 1st down. Still going. He's going. Tripped up just shy of the goal line. And Hanauer, a one-man show for the first-year starter, first career varsity start.
And Hanauer with that same play from a few plays earlier, that fake handoff, quarterback keeper to the outside, almost took that one to the house. Perfectly executed. Got some nice blocks around the left-hand side, and SHG knocking on the door.
This is the ball game we expected it to be. A real shootout, dogfight here at Dick Tharp Field. Man in the backfield. Hanauer takes a snap. Gonna throw over the middle. Tried to get with Kepler, but the Ironman had that contained. But it appears to me, John, looks like the play, at least for passing, looks like SHG really wants to just try to establish the middle.
Yeah, they're utilizing that with O'Brien and Kepler, and that one just off his fingertips there. Almost had it for the touchdown. But I kind of like their play execution. You get your quarterback comfortable in his first start, run the ball a little bit, try to mix things up on this stout Normal Community defense.
It's a bold test right there, a very loaded front middle linebacker core for Normal Community. Hanauer takes it himself. He's going to run. Gets in and hit hard once again. Really laying himself on the line. That'll bring up a 3rd down. Up the middle, kind of talking about that stout linebacker core for Community. Senior Cooper Carway. Jace Wilson up there. Dexter Niekamp is on the line, so that's the teeth of the Ironman defense. Of course, a bold strategy. It's paid off so far. 3rd and 4 on the 4. Hanauer throws. Corner of the end zone, a flag is thrown. It's going to be pass interference on the defense and a fresh set of downs. And they'll move them up to the 2-yard line. Costly penalty for the Iron.
Yeah, and that one was intended for Josh McLean. And right away, McLean kind of flipped his hands up looking for a flag, and he got it. Got tripped up there by the defender, and it's a break you needed if you're SHG.
Now knocking on the door ever more, and a fresh set of downs to go with it, John. What do? We really haven't seen anybody else run the ball other than Hanauer on a keeper. We've seen several passes. Do you try to give it to a true running back? It looks like they're not going to.
Looks like nobody in the backfield. Wouldn't be surprised, maybe another QB keeper.
Hanauer goes after it again, brought down in the backfield. And it will bring up 4th down. Downs don't reset, though, on the prior penalty. Likely because they're inside the goal line range. So 4th down situation now. And they went for it, of course, a couple minutes ago. I would assume they go for it again. What's the play here, John?
I try to get it in the air here. They've picked up really well on that quarterback keeper. It worked on their first down that they had on the last 4th down trip, but Gavin, you might want to line a couple guys out there, have them come across the middle and give yourself a chance. We know how good this Normal Community defensive line can be up front.
And a timeout. Play clock was winding down, and perhaps a chance to really figure out this play. You work all summer. This is the time to put into execution. Where's that back pocket 4th down play? SHG will try to figure that out. While we got a break right here, let's thank our great sponsor for tonight's game, the CSM Friday Night Lights Game of the Week, brought to you by Dominos. Dominos many area locations between Peoria, Bloomington, Normal, and abroad. Check out Dominos next time you're looking for dinner, perhaps pre- or post-game Friday Night Lights. Lots of options to choose from, great specials, and of course, check out their app. There's always some good deals and stuff on there, so check out your local Domino's franchise next time you're feeling hungry. And also by brand new CSM Overtime. Just launched a few weeks ago. It's a low monthly rate, but you get plenty of coverage, second to none in the area. Live stats, nightly recaps, preview stories including 31 previews for local high school football teams in the area. All been released as of today. So plenty to read and catch up on CSM Overtime. You can go to clutchsportsowl.com/overtime to sign up today. Community taking a knee there for the defense. And kind of the mission here, I don't really know you change your strategy, John, if you're Community. You just got to wall up.
Yeah, I think you stack that defensive line. You obviously look for that pass, but wouldn't be surprised if SHG kind of fakes the pass again, maybe goes for another run. But, Gavin, back to your point, we've seen QB keepers. We haven't really seen a goal line play yet with the running backs. I wonder if they switch things up here.
Again, haven't gone to Ethan Hagel, who was a backup last season, 289 yards and 7 touchdowns, so did get some work in despite being the number 2 man. He's offered by Illinois Wesleyan, not too far from Normal Community High School. It looks like he will be in the backfield this time. 4th and 4 for SHG, make or break time. Hanauer throws over the middle. Flag is thrown. It's going to be another PI, very likely here on Normal.
And not what you want if you're Normal Community. That's twice now SHG kind of saved by the flag, and another chance at it, Gavin.
And I think on the sideline there for community bargaining for the pass was tipped.
Kind of a bang-bang play, and SHG new life at this.
Still 4th down, so they get another chance. Redo play. Just another chance for another stop if you're community, and if you're SHG, 3rd time's a charm to capitalize. No man in the backfield. Hanauer takes it. Gonna keep it himself. Going towards the goal line. Touchdown, SHG.
Well executed that time, and another flag. Let's see who that's against.
SHG looking rather perplexed. And it looks like, not really sure what the call is here, John. We'll get a word from our head official. Unsportsmanlike conduct, it's going to be after the play, I assume. So an unsportsmanlike call goes against the Cyclones. It'll make their PAT effort a little more difficult, but nonetheless, they get a 6 on the scoreboard.
Yep, long drive, couple cracks at it, saved by a couple flags, but feels good when you can drive downfield and tie this ball game up if you can make this extra point.
The kick is up, line drive, and it is good. SHG ties the ball game up over halfway through the first quarter of action here in the 2023 season. John, it was a very long and methodical drive spanning over 5 minutes for the Cyclones, almost close to 6 minutes, and a lot of plays. Really maybe some things to clean up, though, there towards the end of the drive. They got 3 opportunities to get into the end zone with the penalties coming from Normal Community. You don't want to have that happen again.
No, little things you got to clean up. Obviously, first game of the year, but one thing you really got to like to see if you're head coach John Allison, your quarterback put out some big plays out there, capped off by a QB keeper, stuffing it in for 6, and slow and methodical, but still put some points on the board to tie this game. That's the statement you want to make if you're SHG.
Before the kickoff, let's get a quick word for our sponsor at Dominos. Dominos with a number of area locations. Go to Washington, you can go to Peoria. No matter where you're at, there is a Domino's close by. Some great pizza and other options as well. I know they've got the great bread twists, some great desserts, and plenty more to check out. So next time you're feeling hungry, especially for some pizza, your choice is Domino's. 4:17, music pumping over the PA, and SHG kicking off for the first time this evening.
Now if you're Normal Community, you want to fire that crowd back up. Another big opportunity on offense.
Davis fielding the kick at about the 30, takes it to the 40, and he will be brought down just shy of the 40-yard line. Not a bad return. Starts with good field position. First drive was a short field for Normal Community. They've only ran 2 offensive plays, capped off by a short Tommy Davis touchdown run. John, maybe a key for both sides. This is a pivotal drive as we kind of come close to the end of the first quarter. Start to want to set the tone here. What do both sides got to do?
Yeah, I think with Normal Community right now, you stick to that run game early. Might try to air it out with Beatty a little bit. Obviously, you want to try to take that momentum back, get down the field, and score. But this is going to be big for SHG's defense. Can they come out here and make a stop?
Beatty takes it, rolling out, near side, throws down the field. They're going to say he caught the ball. To me, it almost looked like it bounced, but perhaps just cradling under that. Really nice play right there from Marquand Gary. And Ironman moved quick.
I love that route, too. Just jets straight out and then a quick cut to the left. Finds himself wide open there for a nice diving catch.
Davis up the middle, turning his legs, and will get a nice solid run. So big positive plays among the first 4 offensive sets for the Ironmen. And largely aided there, both pass protection-wise and run blocking. Great normal community offensive line. Mac Brennan, Quinn Butler, couple of returners right there. 3 seniors, 2 juniors on the line. Davis has it, and there's a big stop there from SHG. Equally on the other side, SHG has a couple of big bodies. Junior Chucky Lanier, 6'5" body, right up the middle. Jake Kepler, again, getting D1 offers. Had 60 tackles last season, the only returning Cyclone on defense.
It's a big-time stop from your front line for SHG, and wouldn't be surprised if we see community go to the air again.
Play clock at 10. Beatty sets it up. Davis next to him. Beatty drops back, keeping himself, runs up the middle, and brought down, and he'll have enough for a first down. And John, I've already noticed we're not even a full quarter in. Both of these teams are literally chomping at the bit, going against each other. We've had an unsportsmanlike call. We've had a couple players with some post-play conversation. You want to keep it clean, but you got to love the competition.
Yeah, you certainly do, and obviously, SHG a lot to prove. Lost 19 starters, state champions last year, but they want to come out this season and show that they belong.
Beatty drops back, throws deep to the end zone. Brought down. Touchdown, Ironman. What a pass and catch. Beatty to Marquand Gary. 6 more for the Iron.
And heavily covered, too, on that one, Gavin. But Gary able to go up behind him and pull it down in the corner of the end zone. Can't ask for a better passing catch there to get on the board for the second time tonight.
Kick is up and it's good. Ironmen respond strong. Deep touchdown pass. That's a 30-plus yard touchdown pass from Beatty to Marquand Gary. John, I think on that play even, if he doesn't catch that football, there's very likely a pass interference call. So to be able to come up with that, a physical play, one-on-one, to jump up and get it, what a play from Marquand Gary, the junior.
Yeah, starts that play off, or I should say starts that possession off with a great sliding catch here just to the left of us, a little bit past the 50-yard line, and then caps off the drive with an unbelievable touchdown grab. And Kyle Beatty kind of picking up right where he left off last season at quarterback, and big-time throw. But Gavin, I have a feeling we are going to see back and forth all night.
It would not shock me if this came down to one of the final drives of the ball game. John Camosa, I'm Gavin Russell on the call with you tonight. Rodrigo Perez is the man all over the controls, doing a fantastic job. Patrick Hubert is the man behind the camera. Teddy Ball is roaming around. We'll bring him on for halftime. He's going to have some updates and stuff for us, give him a chance to express his first half thoughts. Nice Clutch Sports Media crew. We've also got another game going on. We'll get to that in a little bit as the Ironmen kick it away. Brought down. SHG brings it out just about the 5-yard line. And another tough return thrown down on the play right at the 20-yard line. Trent Caldwell again on the return. And appropriately Dexter Niekamp throwing him down. And Niekamp, of course, we've mentioned his name a couple of times, but he's a guy that's going to stay local, going to Illinois State University, not too far from here, just minutes away. Big time nab for the Missouri Valley Redbirds. But Niekamp, bigger things on his mind right now, like a possible state title.
And all starts right here with week 1. Big time game for Normal Community, and you know they want to make a statement and get this one at home, but another flag right here.
Delay a game against SHG. A few things to clean up. We've seen a couple of penalties on them. Nothing major, but of course John Allison, the veteran coach he is, with a very poised and disciplined SHG team, they'll get that cleaned up moving forward. Man in motion, pitches it out. Another flag here. A few yards on the run. And I wonder if we'll get some sort of illegal shift or illegal man upfield.
This one might be coming back again. And those are those costly little mistakes when you start to get the ball moving. It comes right back. Similar to that opening drive.
False start is the call. 1st and 20. 2 first downs to go. Although we've seen Hanauer, the quarterback for SHG, pick up some big plays so far in the air. Looks like he's going to pass again. He will try, having to bail out. Throws on the run, deep downfield. Almost had O'Brien, who's been his favorite target this evening, at least as of the first quarter. Tough throw, couldn't hold it.
Yeah, hard throw on the run, but if that one went, O'Brien would have seen nothing but daylight, just a little bit over his outstretched arm. Now faced with a 2nd down and 20, Gavin. You got a long way to go here.
SHG deliberating. Trying to figure out what the call is. Got to make a big play here. Chew off a chunky yardage to give yourself a manageable 3rd down.
See if they go back to the air again. Could see a few pass plays here. Just try to get something back upfield.
Hanauer, nowhere to throw it. Going to take it himself and brought down, still moving. Spun out of a couple tackles, but gets just little yardage. And John, maybe coming out of the gates, Normal Community was expecting some earlier runs from SHG. Now that they're starting to figure out, let's protect the pass game a little more, perhaps taking away the Cyclones' game plan a little bit.
Yeah, I think when you have such a stacked defensive line up front, creates a little bit of problem for SHG, so maybe they want to try to feel out this passing attack. We're going to see it again.
Hanauer on the run, back to O'Brien, and nothing happening. 4th down and long. Not quite country mile territory. Been itching to pull that one out, John. But it's a long one, nonetheless.
I do still have cornfields around us, so technically kind of the country.
I feel like I'm both in a city and in the country at the same time. I've actually never been to Dick Tharp Field. Beautiful facility here in Normal. The Ironman, great school, great football field, nice grass football field. A lot of turf popping up, but I've got a soft spot for a nice natural grass surface. The punt is away. Tommy Davis fielding it. Breaks one tackle, spins out of another, and he'll be brought down, but not after about a 15-yard return or so. And that's a tough return. He had guys in his face as soon as he picked up the ball. Still gets 15 yards.
Well, that's where he's so versatile, Gavin. We see him line up behind Beatty at running back, but then on that punt return team, he can really put his team in great field position. We see it again right there, and Normal Community, big opportunity here to try to score downfield and extend this to a 2-touchdown game.
They would certainly like to do so. 39 seconds to go in the first quarter. Let's roll the soon as the first quarter video. Yeah. Oh, did you resize it? Beatty throws downfield. Can't hit his man. That would have been a highlight reel week 1 play. Ivo Austin just couldn't bring it down.
I mean, what a rollout there from Beatty, and Austin in the last second tries to propel himself in the air to grab that pass off the jump, but just a little bit over his hands. But I love the idea. Go to the air on that first play.
2nd and 10, 33 seconds to go in the first quarter. Beatty hands it off, breaks a man, tripped up again. And that's not your usual suspect, rather, Tommy Davis. That's Kalen Taylor, 5'10", 185 junior.
A lot of different talent on this roster, Gavin, and when it's not Davis, they can filter other players in there with that speed, and that's how the first quarter might wrap up here.
First quarter is done. 14-7. Some big throws, some big runs, but in the end, Normal Community leads by a score. Let's get a quick word at the end of the first quarter for our great sponsor of tonight's game and all season long on ClutchSportsSalad.com, Dominos. Dominos with a number of area locations and plenty of options to choose from. Of course, you can go with some great pizza, but how about one of their many other options? Bread twists, chicken bites, desserts, what have you. Lots of options to choose from, and if you're not totally sold yet or want a little bigger look at the menu, you can go look at the Dominos app. They'll have some great deals and specials for you as well. Next time you're feeling hungry, want a little dinner, some food, check out Dominos. Flip the field here in Normal. And haven't even given a shout out to our other broadcast going on tonight. Actually, this is quite a bit of a first for Clutch Sports Media. Of course, we talked about new CSM Overtime that's launched. We'll get more into that. We'll roll the full informational video at halftime that'll explain more about what CSM Overtime offers. But our second live video broadcast in week 1, something we've never done before, is at another fantastic opening week matchups. These two games, this one and the other one, is in Peoria. Peoria High versus Rochester, another Big 12 Central State 8 crossover. Two probably, I think you very easily could say, best opening week games in the state. That one's on CIProud.com. Back to Normal. Beatty throws. Davis can't haul it in.
But a great route there from Davis, and had him open, but just couldn't pull it in. But I like this from Normal Community. Going to the air, staying confident with Beatty.
Beatty looking at the air. He's had a couple of near misses, John. He's looking for Ivo Austin recently. Would have been a touchdown. Here's Beatty, keeps it himself. Swallowed up, though, after a short gain. So now a 3rd and about 9.
This is where SHG's defense wants to come up big here, Gavin. 3rd and 10. They want to make this big stop, get the ball back, but Normal Community, a really good opportunity here to take the lead by 2.
Just into the second quarter of play. Jump on the other side, and that was most certainly designed. Could not have crafted that one up better. So still 3rd down. 3rd and 4. Beatty gets the call. Sticks with Davis at his left hip in the backfield. Big line for Community. Extra men. Davis goes up the middle, sheds one tackle, sheds two, sheds three. Still going. Touchdown, Normal.
You have a flag.
Holding on the iron. And I keep getting excited for these big plays that keep going back. But aside from the hold, John, which of course is illegal and was the correct call, but Tommy Davis was carrying multiple SHG players on his back, broke not one, not two, but 3 tackles along the way. It won't show up in the stat book, but that's just a display of what he's capable of.
Yeah, despite the flag right there, just shows his athletic ability. Gavin has almost got the whole team on his back there and still able to drive his feet and get in, but let's see if they go to Davis again with one of these plays.
Throws, check down play. Taylor has it, some room to run, goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Normal, no flags.
That one's going to stand, and how about Taylor able to drive his way in, and just like that, Community 20-7, Gavin, trying to make that home crowd proud tonight.
And Taylor, of course, the backup to great Tommy Davis. Taylor really first season with meaningful varsity action. Kick is botched, maybe a fake. Trying to make something out of nothing, and the extra point opportunity no good. So 20-7. But Kalen Taylor comes up with the receiving touchdown from Beatty. Beatty's second TD throw of the evening. That one a bit shorter, a check down play.
Yeah, really nice design play there from Normal Community. Taylor comes in for Davis there. We've kind of seen him switch on in and out, and that time perfectly executed dump off pass there. Got some nice blocks, and Normal Community now could take a little bit of a breath. 20-7. SHG's got to try to get back into this game early to keep it close.
SHG will try to respond. They had a really good drive that led to a touchdown, but for the most part, otherwise, Normal Community has stood tall, and that's why they're leading 20-7, but a lot of football to go here in Normal. Twin Cities football action, Central State 8, Big 12 crossover event. And the Iron kick it away. Deep kick, gonna be fielded. Fielded about the 5, brings it up to the 20, and tackled just short of the 25-yard line.
I believe that was Blake Potts again with the tackle, and he's been all over the field, Gavin.
He has. Potts had a bone-crushing hit on quarterback Levi Hanauer early in this ball game. Maybe not the biggest guy stature-wise, 5'10", 185. That's not a bad size, but he's the strong safety. But where he makes, or rather where he lacks maybe a little size, certainly has those fundamentals and plenty of aggressiveness to get the job done.
See how SHG starts this first possession.
And down to a knee. That was McLean. He'll lose a couple yards right there. SHG, probably one of their biggest flaws offensively so far. They've started drives poorly. You know, you want to come out first couple plays, set the tone, get some yardage. They haven't done that so far.
No, they have not, Gavin, and it really comes down to those big plays to try to get you back into this one, but we've seen some costly mental mistakes, a couple big flags that pushed them back, and right now Normal Community's defensive line up front doing a great job of reading those plays right as they're happening, putting a stop, so eventually you got to think, is SHG going to rely on that air attack?
Very likely could go back there. There's a man in the backfield this time. Blitz on again, and a flag on the play. O'Brien was wide open, but the play had already been blown dead. And another delay of game. Very unusual. That's something you don't see a lot from any team. Just maybe a bit indecisive.
And we talked about this, Gavin, and losing a lot of starters from last year, living up to a tall task of a state championship from last season, but it's early in week one. But some of these little costly errors, pushing them back in Normal Community, kind of thriving off that right now.
SHG not doing themselves any favors. Hanauer's got to keep it himself. He's got some space to run, but brought down. Blown up right there by Niekamp before he got any farther. Still a nice enough scramble to put themselves within range of a first down. 3rd and 8.
Great play there from Niekamp. Looked like Hanauer had a little bit of daylight, but Niekamp gets him from the outside there. Here's 3rd down.
3rd down. Hanauer fakes it, rolls out, pressured, on the run throw, and incomplete. Flag on the play again. Flag fest, but it looks like it's going to go against SHG. An eligible man downfield against the Cyclones. They'll redo 3rd down. And again, these aren't penalties. These aren't holdings and pass interferences. These are very minor penalties. Timeout. As community appeared to have declined the penalty, so it would have put SHG back at a 3rd and 13. Rather, they stick with 8 yards to go, but make it 4th down. You like that call?
Yeah, I like it, Gavin, and now faced with the situation, you're going to have to punt this football. In Normal Community here with still 8:57 left in this second quarter. Unless we see some type of trick play, Normal Community able to obtain this ball back, Gavin, they have a really good chance to kind of open this one way open in the first half here.
Trying to do so. Weather here in Normal. It's humid. Feels like a Florida swamp. But it's the Illinois Great Plains. Nice and humid as the sun has gone away. I believe seeing some weather in the distance to our left.
Couldn't tell if that was a little heat lightning or we got some rain maybe in the
Perhaps
forecast.
a bit of both. But the show will go on. If there would be a weather delay, we'll certainly let you know. I don't think anybody wants to see a weather delay this evening.
No.
It's a full house here. SHG did travel pretty well. The Normal Community stands, not an empty seat left. 4th down, and SHG will punt. Another flag on the play. Punt goes deep, bouncing back. It's a good one, and it'll be fielded past the 30-yard line, although we have to see what the flag will bring.
Seen a lot of penalties here on the SHG side. Another false start.
Tough go at it for first-year head coach John Allison of Sacred Heart Griffin, as we again alluded to earlier. Ken Leonard, if you've followed SHG or followed high school football in any capacity over the last 40 years, Ken Leonard's been the man for Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin. But not this season. Retired after 500 games, 6 state titles, and finished the winningest coach as of right now in Illinois history. Punt this time is a short one. No flags thus far. They'll let it bounce. Going to take an SHG roll and get to the 39 opposite field. But going back to Ken Leonard, I know we touched on in the open, perhaps those just joining us. Ken Leonard, a very recognizable name in the football community. Brought the SHG program so far. Did not miss a single state playoffs since the year 2000. And had been coaching with SHG, John, I'm going to assume here, before you were born.
Yeah, certainly. And it's a team under Leonard that knows what a state title feels like, knows what a championship crown feels like. And, John Allison really taking all that knowledge and wisdom from Leonard, bring it into this season. Obviously some players stepping up into some big roles, but certainly the history's still rich here.
And a first down play right there. Bit of a broken play as SHG had all sorts of pressure coming up. Gets a few yards. It's Ivo Austin. Beatty had to drop back, check down. They still get a gain of about 5. SHG, Normal Community, here on Friday night, opening week. Community trying to put together another scoring drive. Beatty going to keep it himself this time. And going to get back to about the line of scrimmage, perhaps a half yard. And you watch high school football, you watch football in general, perhaps it's one of the biggest games of adjustment. One play can be shut down. You can immediately adjust and kind of fix the problem. Just how big are adjustments, John?
Yeah, that's your whole season. You got to do that early on in week 1. Little rotations here and there, and learning from some of these things, Gavin. But in a game like this, it's really where you want to execute that.
We'll see if both sides can adjust appropriately. SHG looks like they've done that the last couple plays, standing a little taller. And the third and final timeout of the half is going to be taken by Normal Community, as they have exhausted all of those. And while we have a break, it's time for a sponsor at Dominos. Dominos, it's a pretty good place to pick up some dinner. I'm not sure if you've been there recently, John. I have. It's pretty good last time I had it, and you got a lot of area locations to choose from Peoria to the Twin Cities. There's plenty of Dominos in between to choose from. Lots of great options, lots of great specials, and, of course, the convenience of ordering straight off their mobile app for pickup or delivery. Maybe you're thinking about grabbing some dinner this evening or on a future day and time. Make your choice Domino's.
Can't go wrong with pizza any day of the week there, Gavin.
Pizza is universally one of the best foods, undisputed. And speaking of food, John, can't believe this has escaped my mind. It's probably the 4 great scoring drives and some great defense we've seen that made me forget. But we had some pork chops before the game. Some, shouldn't say world-renowned, perhaps, but state-renowned pork chops, former state champion pork chops here in Normal Community. Smelled it as soon as I walked in. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, really, really good quality pork chop there. 2021 state champion, Gavin, to be exact, and put a little Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce on there. You can't beat that.
Can't go wrong. I liked it was seasoned well, wasn't overcooked. Just a really quality pork chop. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm a pretty stickler when it comes to my food, though.
Yeah, I'd be right up there with you, Gavin. And, you know, with the amount of fans in house tonight, a lot of pork chops have been flying off that cart.
Hundreds, if maybe not pushing thousands. 3rd down and 5. Beatty looks to throw. Pressure! They're going to say he threw the ball incomplete. Nearly a strip sack for SHG, but regardless, they come up big and force a stop, and that brings Normal Community punt unit out. Haven't really seen them tonight. SHG trying to pick a little momentum up and perhaps add at least one score before halftime.
See, Beatty definitely wanted that one back, but chance for the defense to go out there and try to make a stop, but Gavin, how about that?
Blocked this time. Normal Community thinks they retain possession of the football, but since it was blocked, this should just be a free ball. Some discussion here amongst the officials. SHG's offense will come out. John, what'd you notice on that play?
It's hard to tell, Gavin. A little bit of being a little bit blocked by the players on the sideline here, but with this type of discussion, you never know. This could get overturned.
Which clear possession was never established by SHG. It was blocked. Both teams did touch it in some capacity, whether it was inadvertently or trying to pick up the ball. We'll get a ruling here. Doesn't appear Jason Drinowitz is going to be very happy with this call. As he strokes his chin, leans his head to the side. You can see them there talking to the official in the white ball cap. But kind of breaking that down, tipped punt, both teams touching it. I believe they're going to say Community never had full possession of that football, which then in turn, even if Community did pick it up, they didn't get enough for the first down.
Yeah, that one stays with SHG, so Normal Community almost got the ball right back, which would have been huge for them, but SHG able to obtain possession here, and this is a big chance for the Cyclones, Gavin, as we have 6:44 left in the second quarter. They can cut this to one score, but
Lightning's going to cut it short. Boos rain down, as rain may be coming down itself shortly. 6:44 left to go, and Ironman lead 20-7. How about this for week 1?
not the way you want to open the first game of the season. Now everyone has to stand under the bleachers here, I would assume, Gavin. Some players get back to the locker room, and we'll check our radar and see what's moving through. But
perhaps we can get our resident weatherman, Teddy Ball, in on this. Allow him to check the Doppler radar briefly. A real Chuck Collins, if you ask me. Mr. Ball, thanks for joining us, and we got a stoppage here. First of all, appreciate you roaming the sidelines, picking up some things. We'll get to some game action, what we saw through the first almost 2 quarters. But first, for the weather.
For the weather here on the first week of Friday Night Lights, I wouldn't think I'd be doing this, but there has been lightning going on for the past, all throughout the second quarter and even parts of the first. Here on the radar, as it tries to load up here, it does seem like a little bit of a thunderstorm going to be coming over the normal area here. The players clear the field. It's about a 30-minute break, I believe, for lightning, but who knows how long the storm will take to go over. We hope it's soon, so you guys can get back to watching this exciting football just like us.
And there's a shot as Patrick Huber moves the camera into position. You see that lightning.
Yeah, it's been pretty clear. Like I said, all throughout the second, I've overheard a few conversations about, if the refs see it or if the people that do make the decision see it in time. But it's clear now. The Storm is above.
And as obvious as this is going to sound, I really hope SHG didn't bring a cyclone along with them from Springfield.
And Gavin, as hot as it was to start the game, now sitting up here in the box, can feel a little bit of that cold front moving through. Wouldn't be surprised if we see there was some rain kind of making its way, but anything but lightning, not what you want to see delay a game.
Indeed, lightning is perhaps the worst thing that can derail a football contest. Football games don't get stopped for much. Probably two things, heat and lightning. And we've seen both things play out very true this week here in Central Illinois. We'll keep tabs on the situation. We'll keep our field reporter Teddy Ball on our Doppler radar. Although I feel like we should be asking cameraman Patrick Huber, although, he is a big weather proponent. I believe he pays for a premium weather service. Excuse me, Patrick. He shows me his fancy radar. And it looks like there's a big storm right over Lincoln, Illinois right now. Believe the worst of it is going to miss us south, although we are going to feel some of the lingering effects of it. How about another update, perhaps more important? The other game going on tonight, which I believe is still in progress at Peoria High in the Peoria Stadium, recently refurbished. Rochester is blanking the Lions, who just came off a state runner-up 26-0 in the second quarter. What a game.
Yeah. Not what we expected early on, Gavin. Two high-powered offensive teams. We talk so much about Ken Leonard with SHG. His son, Derek Leonard, who's no stranger to getting to state titles with Rochester year after year, the head coach over there. But how about that for a statement? Brand new turf field there for Peoria High, but right now, all Rockets in the second quarter. And still, like you said, Gavin, we don't know if that storm's making its way through. Got to check that radar in the Peoria area. But that's at 7:42 of the second quarter. Rochester leads 26-0. Keeping our eyes on some other scores around the area. We'll get you some updates.
Our weatherman slash sideline reporter slash statistician Teddy Ball, the Swiss Army knife of tonight's broadcast, is going to find us those scores and we'll relay them to you as they come in. But right now we are delayed here in Normal due to lightning. As you can see there on your screen, no rain yet. We are in a safe location, just in case you're wondering. And perhaps while you're waiting for this game to get resumed, you got nothing else better to do. How about time for dinner? Dominos. Right there on your screen. Number of area locations between Peoria and the Twin Cities. And all the nice little surrounding towns in between. Not one far from where I live. It's located in Washington, Illinois, Morton, Illinois, many other towns. Domino's with a number of great options. As John mentioned earlier, you can't go wrong with pizza. But I'm a big fan of the bread twists, both the cinnamon sugar and the regular old garlic parm. But no matter what you choose, what you do, Domino's is the choice for dinner.
And if we can get this game to resume, pending on the weather moving in, some heavy lightning still, what better way to spend it? You got two Clutch Sports Media games on tonight. Eat some pizza and catch a football game.
Kick those feet up. Don't worry about the elements. Just announced over the PA, the game will resume 30 minutes following the last lightning strike. This could be a while. How about our other sponsor? And our sponsor is ourselves, CSM Overtime. And I don't know if this game is going to go into overtime, although it is going to take some time before we get this game going. But how about while you're waiting, John, you got Dominos, and you got a chance to look at what to expect this football season. CSM Overtime. You can subscribe today, clutchsportowl.com/overtime. Just a flat monthly rate of $8.49, but you get a lot of options. You get full team previews, nightly recaps, feature stories. There's going to be video and highlights to come. This stuff is dropping nightly. Lots of options. Of course, there's lots of high school coverage in the area, but truly second to none, and no way to find out unless you try out CSM Overtime.
And think about it. If you're watching this game, 30-minute delay, could be longer. You order a pizza, call it in, sign up for Clutch Sports Media, and read some articles. I mean, it sounds like a perfect night, Gavin.
I don't think I'd want to spend any other way unless I'm waiting on a lightning delay at a high school football event. CSM Overtime, Dominos are your two sponsors for this evening's game, and of course Dominos helps makes this broadcast possible. Other side, WBD, our great partnership with the local news station, has helped us put on an even bigger show and more things to come. We do have an informational video about CSM Overtime. We'll try to get to you in a little bit. But really, it's just about expanding the coverage, and you know, we got some time here. We may go off the air briefly. But John, talking about Clutch Sports as a whole, and perhaps folks newer to Clutch Sports Media, perhaps you're from the Springfield area watching this evening's broadcast, wondering what's this group all about? What's this group coming out on a Friday night, setting up cameras? We've got Instagram and Twitter, I guess now referred to as X, if you're keeping up with that. But Clutch Sports Media has been going since 2019. Started humble beginnings, just a soundboard and a computer, by a couple of co-founders at Bradley University. Come a long way, John. You've been a part of it for some years. I have as well. It's been a lot of fun, but just kind of recap and kind of break down, you know, what Central Illinois has experienced with Clutch Sports Media.
Yeah, I mean, it really started with, you know, our founders, Joey Wright and Larry Larson, and, you know, right out of Bradley, Gavin, kind of calling a game like we're calling right now, minus the video. These guys were just doing it on the radio and, you know, had their own stream, and then our team has gradually grown and grown and grown, and sponsorships, and now with the ability to go out, able to stream 2 games on a nightly basis, huge, you know, for our radar, and this vision that Larry and Joey and Jonathan Michael had, and you and I, it's really thrived. And, you know, being able to come out here, and not just football for the people that are unfamiliar with it at home if it's your first time watching, but, you know, boys and girls basketball, baseball, golf, volleyball, it's really endless for the Central Illinois area. So it has been quite the ride so far, and, you know, each time we look forward to a new season starting, our guys just get more and more fired up for the season.
We're always fired up to call some high school sports, and it's only getting bigger. You see CSM Overtime on your screen. How about a quick video that'll recap it for you? Larry Larson, Joey Wright, and new general manager Jonathan Michael break it down for you in the CSM Overtime video.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Hopefully you learned a little more about CSM Overtime in that video. Again, you can subscribe today, clutchsportsil.com/overtime to sign up. And now with me, Maurice Ball, better known as Teddy Ball, joining me here in the booth. We'll get some stats and scores as we're currently, if you're just joining us, in a lightning delay. You can very evidently see that on your screen. 30 minutes post the last lightning strike is how long we have to wait. And you can see the lightning is quite active right now, right over here.
Well, Gavin, I will say I'm excited to be up here. Unfortunately, the circumstance of the delay, but just for some scores around the area. Obviously, we talked about the Peoria-Rochester game, and the score on that 33-0 here. I think at halftime, or
Yes, second quarter still nearing halftime.
33-0 Rochester. They're playing a great game, and against a really great team, Peoria High. They are no joke. So, congrats to them so far. And around going to Pekin up near Chicago, going as Rolling Meadows, they are winning 7-0 at halftime right now. And Eureka is leading Canton 7-0. Sterling up 17-14 against Metamora. And obviously, the last one I have on my list is the Peoria one I just mentioned. You have any you see on your phone?
Yeah, we've got some other updates courtesy of Scores Stream here. East Peoria trailing Streeter 22-13 the second quarter. Of course, these updates are all last shown, so could be more current. You can let us know in the chat if you know otherwise. Washington losing to Caneland at halftime 13-12 as the Knights are up in Maple Park 13-12. Sterling playing spoiler for the turf debut in Metamora 17-14, the Golden Warriors in front. Mahomet Seymour in front of Morton 7-6 in the second quarter. Last update out of Dunlap, they're actually playing in Galesburg though, 7-7 Silver Streaks and Eagles. Richwood's up 12-0 over Bloomington. Game not too far away from here. I wonder if they're also stopped as well. Manual and Peoria Notre Dame tied at 6 in the last update. Mount Zion 21, Limestone 0. Some small school action. Princeville up over Abington Avon 22-13, and that one's in the third quarter. And that's the last score I've got on my list. So if you're a Big 12 fan, Central State 8 fan, drop us some stuff in the chat if you know some other scores. Teddy, though, we bring you in here. Of course, you've been helping us out with some writing. You've been keeping up with your local high school football, one of our great insiders here at Clutch Sports Media. Kind of looking at the area as a whole. We've got plenty of time to break it down as fans have vacated the stands, both sides, as they're supposed to. We're still here in the booth. But, you know, there's a lot to break down, Teddy. We can start with the Big 12 Conference. Normal Community is part of a very deep Big 12 Conference. Now, Peoria High getting beat by quite a bit, but they still figure to be one of the best in the conference. Normal Community, Normal West, Bloomington High School, Peoria Notre Dame, Champaign Centennial. That's a very deep conference. I don't think there may be one clear front runner, just a lot of potential teams.
Yeah, we noticed this in a lot of sports last year for the Big 12 as well. Very competitive conference in nearly every sport, but especially here in football, like you mentioned, we got the both the normal teams as Normal West and Normal Community, always competitive, just like they were last year. Peoria High, as you mentioned, although they're losing right now, still they second in the state last year, state runner-up for the state championship. So a lot of really, really tough teams in this conference, and just exciting overall. It's going to be a great year of football.
Surely is, and then Mid-Illini Conference is something that we will cover quite heavily as well. Of course, the second of the two big school conferences in the Peoria area, or immediate Peoria area. That's another conference with a couple of potential teams that could come out on top, maybe a little bit of a separation from top to bottom. But you look at Washington, Darryl Crouch, another legendary coach, his final season in Panther Orange and Black as he'll be retiring. He'd like to go out with a bang in his final season with Washington. Metamora always figures to be a decent threat. Dunlap has got some really good young players coming up. 2 dual threat quarterbacks that they have at their disposal. Both are sophomores, something to keep on an eye with the Eagles. And then, of course, Pekin coming off a great season, lost some key players, but overall, just going to be another competitive year out of the Middle Illini.
Yeah, the Mid-Illini, opposite of the Big 12, it's very top-heavy in terms of some of the lower teams, at least last year. They could be more competitive this year, but like you mentioned, Washington with their arguable Hall of Fame level head coach in his last year, what culture they have over there, they're probably going to have a really, really good season. At least that's what they're projected to do. And you have Dunlap, obviously, like you mentioned, 2 quarterbacks that can really tear up any defense. That will be scary to see how they play together. Just the Mid-Illini as a whole, just really competitive, and hopefully see some different ways of the standing. Last year, the last couple years have been overall the same in a lot of the few teams, but you got East Peoria, who can always be competitive, or looking to be competitive this year. Limestone projected to do a little bit better this year, and even Canton looking to be a pretty decent team. So it's going to be an exciting year for the Mid-Illini and the Big 12.
Yeah, some teams looking to take a step forward this season. I think it's a young year for the Mid-Illini. I would venture to say, out of all the teams that I've talked to, again, just big shout out to all the area coaches who have supported CSM Overtime, getting us stats, getting us time for interviews, coming out to practice. All big thanks to them for doing that on their own time. But all the ones I've talked to, it really seems like the consensus, there's not many schools with big senior classes. Now, you got to think that the class of 24, which is the current senior class, came in during the COVID year. So that could have maybe deterred some guys from playing football, guys that, we didn't get into our first year, we're really not going to end up playing. Smaller senior classes in general. So I think the future, while the football is really good right now, the future is even brighter.
Absolutely, and I think even just high school sports in general, we saw it obviously in our area with teams like Metamora in basketball last year. Teams that can have a younger core that can still be very solid can prove to grow better over time. You saw, like I mentioned, Metamora being very young 2 years ago, and then boom, last season going and winning state as they all age and progress and with each other. So we can see the same thing happen with football, and as you mentioned, the class of 24 might have had a little bit of struggle in their freshman year, but definitely some senior leaders are very important for their teams.
Indeed. They're making the most out of this season. A lot of teams nowadays, kind of post-COVID era, kind of doing senior nights and things earlier in the season just to make sure they get it in. That's something that's kind of changed. Usually you do it on the final night of the season, but times have changed, and getting to honor the seniors here tonight at Normal Community, as I'm sure many other teams did tonight as well. But a lightning delay is where we're at. If you've joined us, you're looking for football. There's nothing going on right now. Stands are bare. Just 15 minutes ago, no empty seats. Standing room only here on the home side, a pretty full SHG side. Energy was up as Ironman with the ball had just punted on kind of an unusual play. The officials deliberated as to who technically retained possession. A lot of a hodgepodge there. You can go back and re-watch that one, try to figure it out for yourself. And then as soon as they got with that huddle, they called a lightning delay. So perhaps they weren't even discussing the play. They were discussing, should we stop the game? And that's where we are right now. 20-7, Normal Community in front. 6:44 on the clock in the second quarter. You know, this is not something I've really ever experienced before doing a broadcast. I've been at some games that have gotten delays. I'm going to ask John Camosa. He's standing here behind us. John, have you, again, in your time reporting and just kind of experiencing high school football, first of all, have you ever experienced anything like this? And then also follow up, do you know kind of what the procedure is if the game can't restart this evening?
Yeah, there's been games I've been at, Gavin, off the top of my head. Hard to retrace my steps of who played who, but, right now, with this particular game, you would venture to say it doesn't resume. This wouldn't be a full game for Normal Community. Technically, if it was the third quarter, it would be considered a full game. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but if it does end up getting delayed, possible reschedule, where do you fit that in? Or, like this game never happened. So hopefully, for week one, we get a reschedule, or I should say we get
a resumption
here. And, you know, with how many fans came out tonight, want to see some football, especially week one, so kind of a somber moment, but hopefully it passes soon. But, yeah, to your point, or I should say to answer your question, Gavin, have been through some torrential downpours, some lightning delays, so definitely not uncommon. And, you know, as much as that heat kind of picked up, we knew eventually something was moving in. So
It's always something. Central Illinois, perhaps one of the weirdest weather bowls this side of the Mississippi. You never really know what you're going to get. One day you're near a heat stroke, the next you're wearing a sweatshirt, or perhaps putting on a poncho in this case, although we haven't seen any rain fall quite yet this evening. Again, if you've just joined us, lightning delay in normal 20 to 7. For the moment, we're going to step aside, take a break, regroup, see if we can attract any updates. We'll let you keep a look there of the night sky in normal, lit up by some lightning that's so far stopped this game in its tracks. For the moment, we're going to take a brief pause. We'll try to post some updates on social media, so you can follow along with that, or just keep it here on clutchsportsnow.com. Thanks for joining us this evening. The crew tonight making it happen. John Camosa, I'm Gavin Russell. Behind the controls, Rodrigo Perez doing a fantastic job. Teddy Ball has joined us a couple times. Our weather correspondent and certified meteorologist, as well as our cameraman, Patrick Huber, who pays for an expensive weather app. So we appreciate our entire Clutch Sports Media crew bearing with us, and you bearing with us as well. As we step aside, stay tuned. We'll have updates and information as we receive them. But for now, we will break on clutchsportsil.com. Back to Normal Community High School and Dick Tharp Field, we will have football. This game will resume after a nearly hour-plus lightning delay that derailed this game with 6:44 to go in the second quarter, not even to halftime yet. 20-7 Ironman over the Sacred Heart Griffin Cyclones. Ironman with the ball, and we will resume this ball game roughly 10 p.m. So roughly 10 p.m., we will resume tonight's ball game. Thanks for sticking with us on ClutchSportsIsle.com. Gavin Russell, and we'll have a new man in the booth. John Camosa had to head out for his WMBD correspondent job on Sports Extra. Teddy Ball will be sitting in with us for the remainder of this contest. Ironmen try to hold on even despite the delay. We'll get back to it here in just a few minutes on ClutchSportsIsle.com. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'll be back at 10. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Football is back in Normal. And the cheers of approval from the faithful that have stuck it out. We got a new ball game, folks. SHG back with the ball. Hanauer first play, just going to let it air out. And nowhere to go. So a lot to sort out here, but we're finally back from a long lightning delay in Normal. Some weather moved through the area, affecting this and other games happening. 6:39 to go in the second quarter, not even to halftime. Any longtime fans of IHSA football out there perhaps know this or would know where to find it. Somebody figure out for us how late is the latest game that's ever gone for an IHSA football game. Wonder if this will push it. Brought down in the backfield. Hanauer nowhere to go as we're just off and running. Teddy Ball, Gavin Russell, Teddy, thoughts?
Despite the break, looks like Normal is doing the same thing they did in the first half. That aggressive D-line play has really helped them so far in this game. But like we mentioned, like over the break, this is an entirely new ball game. The break could have helped SHG, it could have hurt the Ironmen, or we could be seeing much of the same as the Ironmen are doing great so far this game.
Hanauer, third down and long, steps up, breaks some tackles, but he is just brought down. Ironman defense didn't go cold during the break. Tough first set there for SHG. Fourth down right at about midfield. So just a recap if you've rejoined us here on ClutchSportsOwl.com for tonight's Dominos CSM Game of the Week on Friday night. We'll get to that in a moment. SHG will go for it. Hanauer airs it out over the middle and nobody home. Turnover on downs. Teddy, let's recap this one a little bit. Going pretty steady through the first quarter and a half. SHG got off to a slow start. Ironmen held the first lead of the game. It took them 2 offensive plays to score a touchdown. SHG responded, and then as of recent, it was all Normal community. After a weird punt play, we got a lightning delay. And after 45 minutes to an hour, this is where we stand right now.
It's a very odd week one here in Normal, but you got to give credit to Normal. They're coming out doing the same thing they did. Like you said, the slow start of that one looks like a pass interference call. The slow start for the Cyclones could be completely negated at this point in the game.
Pass interference, and SHG just doesn't have that same energy. You know, both teams, I'm sure the legs are tired. Or I should say cramping up a little bit. You know, you play that hard, you sit for that long with no certainty if you're going back onto the field tonight. And then to come back out, of course, Normal community has the support of the home crowd. About half the student section remains. About a good third of the crowd stuck it out for Normal community. SHG fans dwindled quite a bit as they have a trip back to Springfield. A little confusion off of the pass interference call, but Normal community will have a first down and some yardage. Kind of a recap how things went down and kind of elaborating on that. Tommy Davis struck first for a touchdown, but Kyle Beatty has found the end zone a couple times on some passes, especially a really nice 35-yard pass to Marquand Gary, the back of the end zone for the Ironmen.
Gary's been huge so far for them. The back of the end zone play was beautiful high-pointed pass and just beautiful by Beatty as well.
Brought down there on the first play, SHG defense coming out, and it looked like it was going to be an offensive battle early on. You know, originally where this game stood, a quarter and a half in, we saw 4 scores, which I would say was pretty high scoring. This game easily could have touched 30 to 40 points apiece, but now, so far, it's been almost all defense coming out the break. So I wonder if we're in for a defensive battle the rest of the way.
Yeah, Gavin, even early on, Normal Community starting off just being able to, one thing I will say, they were really good on all three levels of the football, of the gridiron here tonight, special teams included. They've gotten, I think, 3 kickoffs within the 20-yard line and been able to capitalize on that on offense or on defense, and then using their defensive prowess to turn into offensive power. The Tommy Davis touchdown came just 2 plays into their first offensive campaign of the game.
Stoppage right here after Tommy Davis was brought down for a loss. So we're in 6 plays total since our delay. And a couple minutes have gone by. And I really don't think we've seen a positive offensive play yet. Both teams' defenses have not wavered after the break. Beatty by himself, hit hard. And Tommy Davis can't haul it in on a check down.
That's exactly what they need. SHG has not been able to put too much pressure on this Ironman offense, and so as soon as you see it right there, boom, giving them some of the same taste of their own medicine that the Ironman defense has been doing to them all night long. Could be a big game changer in this one.
And they're not going to risk anything. You never know when SHG can get hot offensively, so they will punt it away, although we did see SHG block a punt earlier. This one will get off, not very deep. Some pushing and shoving, and Normal Community jumps on it around the 25-yard line.
You know, Gavin, we talk about coming off last season for these two teams. It might explain this game just a little bit. SHG, obviously state champions last year, but losing quite a few players in the offseason, so you don't know how that will affect. But as for Normal, they had a heartbreaking loss in the playoffs to the Pekin Dragons after leading in that 4th quarter. So they seem to have a little bit of a mental edge. They really want to get back to the promised land. They want to get there, and SHG is just trying to stay at that level, and Normal has just done everything they can to say no to that.
SHG tries it again. It's going to be picked off. That's a pick 6 right there. Normal Community's defense on fire. Aiden Boundy has been big in this game. Go back and rewatch the first quarter. He had some big special teams plays. How about Boundy? Ball hawking that one for 6.
It's a perfect read on that ball. It came, maybe it was like 10 yards out, full sprinted to get that interception, and boom, just like that, 26-7 Ironmen. Got to give credit. They have not backed down all throughout this game. Offensively and defensively, they have been able to put it together.
The kick is up, and it is good. And that was a very broken play. I watched it happen and materialize the entire way, Teddy. Looking to make the throw, Hanauer, tried to get his man on the out route. Nobody was home, and Boundy saw that ball floating up in the air, went up and got it himself for 6.
That ball also looked just a little wobbly on that one as well, just not like the perfect pass for that, but
indeed, not a good start out of the break for SHG. Let's get a quick word for our sponsor tonight's game. You stuck with us. Perhaps you got some dinner. Maybe it was Dominos. But if not, next time you're in for a pizza fix or need some dinner, choose Dominos. Many area locations between Peoria and the Twin Cities, Bloomington, Normal. Lots of options, good deals, good prices at Dominos. 27-7 is the lead increases for the Ironmen. Teddy, again, you've seen a lot of football. We've watched a lot of high school football in the past couple of years with Clutch Sports Media. We've seen our fair share of comebacks. I think that maybe we're not in comeback territory yet. A lot of time left in this game. Maybe a key for SHG to get things back on track.
Really, they got to go back to their bread and butter that was in the first quarter. They really slowed things down. Head coach John Allison, he proves he has that experience. Although it's his first year as a head coach, like you said earlier, he's been with this program for 18 years. In that first quarter, they were able to string together a touchdown on a very long drive, but you know, you don't have to match the Ironman's pace. You can slow it down, play more methodically, and it proved to work with them before. It seems like they're coming out, rushing things a little bit, and maybe slow it down.
Good keys there for SHG. Let's see if they can capitalize. Normal Community has been sterling defensively out of the break, the lightning-induced break. Touchback right there for SHG. They haven't had much success with the kickoff and punt return, so probably a smart play as they'll try to shake off the pick six for Maiden Boundy. Boundy out there again here on the near side. Wonder if he's thinking about doing that again. Hanauer's going to throw. Blown up in the backfield. Ironman just coming in, making the stop. Nowhere to go.
Just like we've seen all day, outside linebacker able to get right through the gap to the quarterback right away. Although he didn't get the sack, he got the pressure and just made it that much harder to make the play. If SHG wants to get back in this football game, they're going to have to try to find a way to stop that Ironman pass rush, but it looks like it might be impossible at this point as they are delivering on all levels.
Loss of 5 on the play. Just nothing clicking for the Cyclones offense. Hanauer goes deep, has his man, but nowhere to go as the ball is out of bounds. And incomplete to O'Brien. I feel like even with so much time left in the game, Teddy, there's a sense of desperation.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of it is because, you know, you come off that long break and you try to get to halftime, try to recoup a little bit and maybe get back in this game. Now you're down another score, so 27-7 instead of 20-7. So going to halftime with any bit of confidence, any bit of any score can help you so much. But
Hanauer breaks out of it, finds some room to run. He's going to go. He's going to be up near a first down, pushed out of bounds. SHG again wanting a late hit flag, but Hanauer's just going to man up and take it. Looked like it was clean and legal, and it is a first down. Hanauer is, although we don't have official stats, got to imagine pushing or if not exceeding at least 50 rushing yards. Mind you, we still are in the second quarter. And one thing we haven't seen tonight, which I kind of figured we would see more of, was running plays. Ethan Hagel, the senior, of course a first-year starter, but you know, again, a guy that carried 7 touchdowns and almost 300 yards last season as a backup. We'll see if they go to that at some point. Another option play. Hanauer keeps it himself. The option right there, they brought down the running back, not Hanauer, but the right idea from the Iron.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get a little bit of a run game going, even if it's not with their running back, but it's clear the pass game so far for the Cyclones here in the second quarter, since we came back, it's just not worked out too well. So now the last 2 plays and gotten them down the field a little bit.
Hanauer by himself in the backfield, drops back again, blitz is on. Hanauer throws it deep, wide open, but can't hit his man. He was on the run. That was Johnny Ramage, wide open in front of the defender. And that play just signified, I think, what Normal Community's game plan is now, and it's attack the passer, get a lot of guys up there very quickly.
Exactly, Gavin. They know that they're trying to get down. They have a minute left in this game. They know that they're wanting to get at least another score to try to make it a little bit more even. So they're doing a great job of putting pressure on the quarterback, making every situation hard.
3rd and short. Corbin Gregory is the man in the backfield, not Hagel. Watch for that. Short pass, out, and a first down for SHG. Fighting forward is Johnny Ramage. Ramage, a 5'10", 175 senior. His first reception of the evening in this new season. Of course, time is probably the enemy right now for SHG. They will kick off to start half number 2. But not really in a hurry right now. I can't say I agree. You know, you said slow and steady, but you also got to play the clock.
Exactly. I think they realize the success of their last 2 run plays, maybe try to go back to that. You still got to incorporate the pass, so you have about 55 yards to go here.
Up the middle again and over the middle. Ball is out. Did the Ironmen get it?
They're saying they have it, all pointing towards their side of the end zone.
Points left, points right. SHG holds on.
Got to be thankful if you're SHG for that one. There could have just been another thing added to the list, but they still have a minute left.
Under a
in the
minute.
first half.
Under a minute now. Hanauer, first down, airs it out deep. 50-50 ball. And this one was not anywhere close to his receiver. A bit of a shove from the intended target. Looked like that was Seamus O'Brien. No flags.
Kind of a smart play, though. Even though there was an incompletion, stops the clock. Doesn't have you waste a timeout.
And again, mind you, a very, very new look Sacred Heart Griffin group this season. 19 new starters. Huge, massive overhaul, including the man, a quarterback, who's done a nice job in his first start as a new starter. Hanauer takes it again. Gonna throw it. It was tipped. Another interception for the Ironmen. Running it back. Here he goes to the 30. The 20, the 10. Will he get there? He will. Brady Augustin, second pick 6.
Gotta give them their credit. They have been able to read Hanauer's eyes throughout since we came back. 36 seconds left. They knew they had to pass it. They knew they had to get down there fast. They played it perfectly for the second pick 6 since we've came back. Beautiful defensive play for the Ironmen. They just keep stacking it on.
Augustin and Boundy with the pick 6s in the last couple minutes. The massive difference maker for the Ironmen. The kick is up and it is good, 34-7. And it's been all Ironman defense here since the return from our lightning delay. What a turn. And I'm noticing a thread here. Don't want to look too far into it. But now players numbered 0 and 1 have both returned pick 6s for the Ironmen. Can they keep it going? Well, number 2. Well, number 3.
You got to think, yeah, we're still in the first half of this game. Anything is possible. We've seen crazier things happen. Actually, you never know. It could be the craziest thing we've ever seen of a comeback like this, but still a whole half of football to play. But so far, the Ironmen are looking as dominant as you can possibly look.
Fearful sight for the Big 12, especially on an opening night where Peoria High struggled in a big way against Rochester in their opening week matchup, just getting thumped. We don't have a final score on that one yet, but Rochester out of the Central State 8 went and took care of business at Peoria. On the other hand, Normal Community showing well for the Big 12 as they're up big time, 34-7. So an interesting turn of events in the first week.
Like I mentioned earlier, Gavin, I feel like you can see that this Normal Community team has a goal in mind, and not just for this game, but for this season. They are playing with passion so far.
Fumbled a little, not going to get much on a return, and like a ton of bricks or a bowling ball strike, the Ironman special teams brings them down once again.
Another kickoff that they stopped past the 20, or within the 20, I should say. If I'm counting correctly, I think that is 5 kickoffs they've had within the 20. They've done a great job at managing where the ball goes on the field.
SHG will attempt to put something together before they head back to the locker room where they spent so much time during that delay. And it hasn't been the Ironman offense, it's been the Ironman defense. 2 defensive scores via the pick 6. They're going to run it now, try to bleed some clock and perhaps lick their wounds at halftime.
Definitely a smart decision. Try to probably stay away from the pass. Don't want to let your first game starting quarterback getting too much of a blunder, but looks like they're going to let the clock go for the second half.
And it's halftime as Normal Community skips off the field with a big lead over the Central State 8 foe, Sacred Heart Griffin. Sacred Heart Griffin looks like they may not even leave the field, so they'll head towards the back of the end zone. Perhaps John Allison with a bit of a motivational speech. Remember the Titans-esque to try to will his team back in half number 2. Jason Drinowitz got to be thrilled with the way his team performed in the first half. We're going to get down to break it down some more, recap what happened before and after the weather delay. But for now, we're going to get a quick word for our sponsor in Dominos. Dominos, the official sponsor of the CSM Game of the Week on ClutchSportsIsle.com. Number of area locations you can choose from between Peoria, the Twin Cities, and the surrounding suburbs, Morton, Washington, what have you. You can choose Domino's next time you're looking to get a meal for yourself, maybe for a party, watch party, whatever you think you need some pizza for or something. Choose Domino's. And also, CSM Overtime just dropped back in July. Overtime is a new feature by Clutch Sports Media. Subscribe right now at ClutchSportsIsle.com/overtime. And of course, CSM has been founded on, of course, free content, free coverage, and of course our live broadcasts will continue to remain free. That is our goal. But we also aim to provide more and more live coverage for Central Illinois. The only way we can do it and expand is with your support today. So check out all that CSM Overtime has to offer, including over 31 featured stories and previews regarding high school football, nightly recaps, and much more to come in the coming weeks. Daily content will be dropping. There will be video highlights and all sorts of things for you to check out in the coming days and weeks of high school football and beyond. For now, we're going to take a brief break. We'll be back to break things down. 8 minutes on the clock. We'll be back in just a few. Teddy Ball, Gavin Russell, Clutch Sports Media's Game of the Week here from Normal. Welcome back to Normal High School in Dick Tharp Field for a Central State 8 Big 12 crossover event. A weird game indeed. So you're wondering, this game's got to be just about over, right? No, we've got a whole nother half of football to play. So if you're a night owl, you stay up late, well, this is for you. We got late night football here in Central Illinois. A lightning delay caused a about hour-long stoppage here in Normal. Never really got a storm that moved through, but plenty of lightning, and for safety reasons, got to stop the game. But we got back eventually around 10 p.m., and in a short span of about 6 minutes that were left in the second quarter at the time, Normal Community was able to pull off a pair of pick sixes, so that's where we'll start our recap. Back in with you, Gavin Russell here alongside Teddy Ball. The rest of our staff is Patrick Huber and Rodrigo Perez. Teddy, again, a very weird game indeed. Prior to the lightning delay, SHG was just about to get the ball back as they were leading, or rather trailing 20-7. Normal Community was still in front. The game that happened up until the break feels very separate from what we saw in the last 6 minutes of the second quarter. First part of the game, very offensive led. Second part of the game, it was all defense.
Yeah, I agree. On both sides, Normal Community looked great, but in this last, I'd say 6 minutes, I guess that's how much time we have had since we came back, they've looked exceptional on defense. They looked great on the pass rush in the first part of the first half, which is weird to say, but now it's just all well-rounded. They're getting everything from the pass rush to the secondary making plays, and really the offense has just gotten to take a backseat and just really not have to do a whole lot.
Indeed, and again, a very, very weird game. Everything feels very separate, and you got to think some of the legs might be a little tired. Week one had to, sit down and wait an hour. There's only so much stretching and things you can do. But the defenses remained hot, as the weather has also been very hot and muggy. So they did not feel any of the effects. The offenses, on the other hand, are still trying to find the stride as we kind of come out of the lightning delay. Let's get a quick word for tonight's game sponsor, Dominos. If you're tired of just any old pizza, some inferior pizza, Dominos is your obvious choice with a number of area locations for pickup and delivery, with also many other options besides pizza. So if you're feeling pizza, there's a good choice, but if you're not feeling pizza, still a good choice. I personally love the bread twists from Domino's. The cinnamon sugar are elite in my book, so give it a try next time you need a meal, hosting a party, or whenever you may just be eating. And also by CSM Overtime. CSM Overtime is now live. Dating back to July, we've had several weeks of content pushed out nearly every single day of the week. Featured stories, team previews for 31 area high school football teams around Peoria and Bloomington and their respective surrounding areas, and much more to come as football season progresses and we get into winter sports. All of that is available for subscription now in CSM Overtime. Help us, we'll help you out as well, continuing to grow our coverage, continuing our free live broadcast, and giving you plenty of written and video content for subscription. ClutchSportsOwl.com/overtime. Teddy, we got a minute left on the clock. How about some keys to the second half? As we saw, things can change in the blink of an eye. A 20-7 game is much different than a 34-7 game. And Normal Community really turned that on its head very quickly. What do you do, first of all, if you're SHG? Let's start there. A couple of keys for the Cyclones, one for each side of the ball.
For SHG, you really just gotta trust your guys. They have a great coaching staff, obviously. They won state last year, and that doesn't just go away. Yeah, you lose your head coach, but you bring in a new head coach, John Allison, like we said earlier, is there for 18 years. He knows what he's talking about. Trust your guys. Like we said earlier, they got to slow the pace down. A lot of those both those interceptions were probably because they were trying to force some passes and get a score late in that first half to try to reel this one in just a little bit. But so far, it has come to no avail. And as for defense, or another thing for offense, they really need to slow down the Ironmen's pass rush. It has been able to disrupt everywhere. Outside linebackers, interior D linemen, they have been unstoppable, and that is what's helping their secondary make these great plays, is that edge rush and or pass rush in general.
Indeed, good points there. And again, not to sound like a broken record, as we've said the same things over and over, but the team that won state last year, of course, you know, the chemistry and stuff is still there from a standpoint of a lot of players coming back, a legendary program in SHG, but you also lost 19 starters, which does not happen to many teams. You know, you're doing pretty good to keep about half your starters. Well, SHG lost nearly everybody from their starting core, so the offensive line has got to find ways to kind of gel together, kind of figure it out, and half number 2 could be the time. If nothing else for John Allison's group, you want to try to just be competitive in half number 2. As the ball falls off the tee, off to a good start. But everybody's fired up in Normal. Normal Community trying to do what they've done for the first 2 quarters. Send the fans home happy. SHG, let's make this night weird with a comeback, shall we? That's what they want to do. Back to receive. Second half is open. Tommy Davis breaks through a man, trucked a man around the 30-yard line, and he'll get up past the 30 to the 31, where we'll start half number 2.
We talked so much about this Normal Community defense, but if we go back to that first quarter, it was obviously the defense was still great, but the offense was clicking, and Tommy Davis was one of the keys to that. And as you see there, he's able to do so much, even just on kickoff. But so he had the touchdown earlier, and one of the keys to this normal offense. He's done so much for them already today.
It's been mostly the Normal defense that has come up big, has led to most of their scores. But Davis is going to take it. He's got room to run. Nothing but green grass. Tommy Davis will pick up 6 more.
Got to give him credit. Did this all year last year, and he's starting off with a bang. 2 touchdowns here in week 1. Like we just said, it's just week 1. He's got 2 touchdowns. Off to a great year for him. And now, like I just mentioned, the offense is getting a little taste of what they had going on earlier. It's just an all-around masterclass so far for the Ironmen.
And if you want to blame it on the conditions, the break, certainly that is a factor, and that will always go down in consideration when looking at the final score of this ball game, whatever it may be. But both teams have faced the same thing, and Normal Community has just responded to the adversity better so far. Tommy Davis saying, hey, the defense ain't the only one getting on the action. He's making himself known in a big way. Going 68 yards. One play. Botch snap on the PAT, and they'll dive on the ball. Nothing going on with the PAT. 40-7. Ironman. Holy cow.
That might have been just that botched PAT attempt might have been the only not great play for the Ironmen so far this half. They have done a great job.
20 seconds in with a touchdown is...
Well, I was referring to the break as well. I forget that there's the halftime as well.
But 20 seconds in is pretty remarkable, and I think you're going to take that every day of the week. But definitely a game for growth, both sides. SHG not going to like the outcome, at least at the moment, barring a miraculous comeback of epic proportions. I guess I don't rule anything out anymore. I've seen some crazy stuff in the high school football realm, but Normal Community also growing, just figuring out, hey, this is what's working. You know, and I'm sure you can look back at the film and there's little things you can pick out that we can be better. You know, that could get us beat some weeks.
Exactly.
So a lot to look at.
I think for them, too, you don't have to, although the goal is to obviously come back and try to win. You want to win every game. But for them right now, I think their mindset should be just trying to gain the positives, get something to build on for next week. Still a very talented team, and they can be very competitive in this season. It's a long season, so take what you can from this game and try to get something to work.
Good points, Teddy. As an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Normal Community forces the kickoff to start a little farther back, to the chagrin of Jason Drinowitz. But the men in zebra stripes, the only reason that matters, tripped up on the play, and some physicality on the back, some pushing and shoving, flags a-flying. Things starting to get chippy and Normal, perhaps past the bedtime of these youngsters on the football team.
It is quite late. You got to give credit to the fans as well for sticking around.
Although, as much as that was a joke, we have seen a lot of fierce competition between both of these sides in this ball game. We've seen multiple unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. I would expect probably a couple offsetting ones here. I think it's one of those things, Teddy, not welcoming unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, but you want kind of that mindset. You know, we want to go in, we want to be able to take down our competition. Now, you want to do it cleanly and fairly, of course, but if nothing else, you can say, well, at least they're remaining competitive.
Exactly. I think you can, a similarity I see in that is recently with those NFL dual practices, you see a lot of those fights. And although, you know, some coaches try to break it up and stuff, I've seen, I think the Jets coach said that you want to see them fight just because you want, not like obviously, but you see the competitive nature in these guys. And so it's good that SHG is still, they still got their pride there. They're still trying to do their best to get back in this football game.
Got to give them credit. It's a long night. They're on the road under the Friday night lights. The sky is pitch black. This field is mostly surrounded by corn. And the night sky, there's not much to look at but some stadium lights. The scoreboard lit up. It's been all Normal Community so far.
Guess you could say with the field surrounded by corn, for Normal Community it's definitely a field of dreams, but for SHG so far you could say quite the opposite.
Good point, Teddy. First play for SHG out of the second half for the offense. Slight positive gain right there. Interesting enough, and something perhaps to keep tabs on if you're a fan in the Central State 8 or a fan of SHG. Ethan Hagel has really done nothing in the backfield, really not even getting carries back there. Haven't seen him on the field much, at least as of recent. There again it goes to Christian Pollard, the 5'9", 160 senior. Perhaps an early season injury for Hagel. Perhaps they're just playing the backups to get them some reps. Whatever the case is, something to monitor going forward. The SHG run game really maybe still an unknown heading into week 2.
Yeah, it hasn't been their strong suit so far today. Their run game that they have seen has been trying to escape the pass rush.
Hanauer to the sideline, and they're going to say incomplete. No catch on the play, nearly hauled in by Josh McClain. Hanauer continues to fire deep. Hanauer, big shoes to fill again. Last year, state title champions for SHG in 4A. He steps in for Ty Lott, who threw for over 3,000 yards, 47 touchdowns last season for SHG. Talk about a big part to your offense. And Ty Lott has, of course, graduated. Ty Lott had a number of excellent receivers. Keyshawn Singleton, definitely one of the big names there. Jake Hamilton, another. Hanauer throws it. Goes up again. McClain gets it this time. A little comebacker. And he finally hauls it in. Hanauer had to escape out of some trouble. But I got to say, despite just the one touchdown, Hanauer has really looked promising. And I think SHG fans are going to like what they've seen.
He shows a lot of poise in the pocket. He's very confident. I will say that. He's been able to throw balls that you know, we wouldn't expect a lot of people to throw cross-body throws on the run deep downfield, and he has no lack of confidence, that's for sure.
Check down play right here and tossed out of bounds, gain of about 5 or 6. Looked like that was Jake Kepler, the big 6'3" tight end. D1 offers, not committed yet. Shade under 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. SHG trying to find some magic. Tried to get him to jump off sides. Not happening. Second down and 5. Hanauer is going to hand it off this time. Back to Pollard. Knifing through the middle. Just soaring in. Is this normal defense? They're just playing downhill, head down, attacking hard. I mean, really inspiring. Even with the big lead, they are just not giving up.
We mentioned the run game not being able to start too well, but you can't even really blame that a whole lot on SHG because you see there almost got Hanauer takes it himself for first down. But for the most part, it's mainly been this Ironman defense and even their secondary when it gets past the linebackers being able to be that physical and stop the run early.
Hanauer was able to pick up another run. Curious to see what Hanauer finishes with tonight. As far as yardage goes, he's had some nice throws, but mainly it's been on the rushing aspect, both designed and out of the scramble, nearing 100 yards most likely. Back to Pollard, and they're trying to push him forward, probably going to get 1 yard. But again, other than Hanauer, it's been no run game at all. Probably the longest run other than Hanauer was for 5 or 6. Pollard's been one of the main ball carriers. We've seen a couple of jet sweep type plays from Josh McClain and Seamus O'Brien. But otherwise, just nothing going on. Hanauer rolls out, finds Kepler in the flat, missed tackle, and Kepler able to knife up near the first down.
Really stopped on a dime there for a guy that big, be able to move that fast and stop that fast, keep the play going. It's really impressive.
Kepler was a starter last year, mainly defensively, and that's kind of where his bread and butter is. Likely going to go to college to play defense, but obviously filling a role as a tight end and has gotten his lion's share this evening. Hanauer gonna scramble. Tries to make a cut in, but 3 Ironmen knife him down. And it'll be just shy of a first down. You're, of course, going for it here on 4th, Teddy. What's the call? Pass or run?
I say if you do run the ball, you got to run it to the outside. It's been impossible to run it to the inside, even to try to scramble this close. They've, as we see just there, able to close it up. Maybe a screen play. You saw that a few plays ago with Kepler. He was able to get a few yards, get into that 5-yard range. It's really up to the bright mind of John Allison.
Allison, the offensive coordinator, 18-year assistant coach, will try to pull something out of his back pocket. Man in the backfield. They are going to go. Pass. Kepler can't haul it in. Went for the touchdown, not the first down. And they turn the ball over to Community. Nearing running clock territory as the Ironmen, with another touchdown and an extra point, can get the clock running continuously.
Yeah, I think one thing you see oftentimes in high school football with even really good defenses is when offenses start moving down the field like SHG just were, you see them kind of, not do horrible, but, maybe give up a little bit of that same pressure, but they still continue, even when SHG is able to move the ball down the field, to put on that pressure and continue to be the great defense that they are. That's why they only have one score on them so far, close to the third.
Tommy Davis goes back around, is going to get some yardage. He's got some green grass to run, and man, Tommy Davis just defying odds. He ran to the near side to us, to his left, turned completely back around and ran back out to the right, the far side, although there is a flag, but nevertheless, that is an incredible feat of athleticism I simply cannot fathom.
He might be one of the best running backs in the area this season. I feel like he already was last year, but especially this year, so far in this week 1 game, he's looked absolutely unstoppable.
First and 12 now after a holding penalty from the Iron. Beatty's going to throw. Looks, checks down. Man in the end zone. Somehow going to get out of there and get back to the line of scrimmage. And that was Kylan Taylor, who does have a touchdown tonight, receiving touchdown. Who's the primary backup now, the junior, to Tommy Davis, and I would think has a future starting for the Ironmen next season. And that also begs the question, if things uphold here for the Ironmen, how long do you play your starters? It is week 1. You want to get your guys reps. Handoff. Taylor up the middle. Going to fight forward for some yards. A nice run from Kylan Taylor. But that poses the question, Teddy. You want to get your guys reps. You want to get your guys up to speed in the season, but you also don't want to risk something.
Yeah, I agree. I think, honestly, at this point in the game, you've already proved a point. You've proved a point, like you said earlier, you proved a point to the entirety of your conference. But now, like, you can also prove a point of how good your depth is. So you see Johnny Davis sitting on the side for what will be his 3rd place. So maybe that is the way they go. I don't blame them for doing that. Smart move.
Yeah. Not much point in playing your guys, risk an injury or something. That happened last season to Normal Community. They got plagued by some injuries. Kyle Beatty had to step in last season. He was not the intended starter, ended up starting 8 games and filled the role well. Tommy Davis missed 5 games, so you certainly are just trying to avoid the same fate last season had. Taylor is going to get a bulk of the carries here going forward. And the depth is obviously very prominent. Cyclones really a 4A school by enrollment. They will play to 5A coming off the state championship, something they're very familiar with. Playing 5 to 6A most years just out of success. Of course, in the IHSA, you can get reclassified based off appearances. I believe it is in the semifinal of the state playoffs. They've done that a number of times. Community, a 7A team. Beatty throws a little screen pass, and it's incomplete. But being a 7A school, a huge enrollment, especially compared to other area schools. You look up and down the roster, there's probably a lot of guys that barely touch the field that would be big contributors on other teams. They just are incredibly deep.
Yeah, as we look on the sideline here, it's just an entire – it's crazy how big the roster is just with players that aren't even on the field for Normal.
An Army as they will punt away. Not going to be a long one, but it's going to get a home bounce. And it'll be knocked down just past 40-yard line. And while we've got a switch in possession here, let's get a quick word for our great sponsors over at Dominos. Dominos, the official partner, Clutch Sports Media's, and Clutch Sports Media's game of the week every Friday night. Clutch Sports Media featuring 2 games, and Dominos helping us out sponsoring this one. A lot of area locations to choose from between Bloomington, Normal, and Peoria. Flags are flying here. Another new man carrying the ball, but again, thanks to Dominos for their continued support of Clutch Sports Media this season. I gotta say, I'm feeling pretty hungry. I did have a pork chop pregame. We can get back into that. But Domino's sounds pretty good right now. I just don't know they're going to be open. This game's going a little late.
It is late, but hey, anything for week 1 football. I'm just glad football is back. Haven't really touched on that too much, but exciting times. Waiting so long off season for this week, and I'm sure Normal Community and SHG have waited so long too, and especially Normal, they've definitely showed it so far. They've been waiting all off season to prove a point.
They certainly have a little sour taste in their mouth after losing a heartbreaker to Pekin last year in the playoffs. 2 wins shy of a state championship. Hanauer throws over the middle. Incomplete. Looks like Hanauer's just going to try to throw the ball as much as possible and just hope something happens. Might as well take your reps while you can get them.
I will say from the throws he's made and attempted, he's got an arm, like a cannon.
He does. Really a dual threat quarterback, Levi Hanauer is. Again, a lot of schools would have been lucky to have him even last season. Just simply nowhere for him to play. Ty Lott, being the starter. Hanauer throws again. Accurate throw the outside. And some yardage there picked back up from the penalty. It's Kepler again. Kepler's easily become his top target now. 5 or 6 receptions for him. But Teddy, I'm feeling hungry. I'm going back to the pork chop. Did you have a pork chop this evening?
I didn't have one today, which is unfortunate. But last year when we were here, we reviewed them. Well, obviously they reviewed them on the stream, but I tried my own. It was there's a reason why it's an award-winning pork chop, Gavin. It's a great pork chop.
It is a state-winning pork chop. Hanauer throws another completion to Kepler. Going to be a little short of the first down, I believe. I would say I can taste the award-winning. Maybe the herbs and spices, KFC-esque. Who knows? Who knows what they're seasoning with? It was delicious. Pork chops are a big staple, in Illinois high school football. DMAC, Deer Creek Mackinac, makes a pretty good pork chop. Again, I haven't been everywhere. So don't come after me if I didn't mention your pork chop. Your school's pork chop is Hanauer blown up for the sack. But I'm feeling hungry, Teddy, so another pork chop sounds pretty good. And, hey, we may be back here in Normal Community. I'll definitely get another one.
Absolutely. No, I say maybe next year for CSM Madness or even a different type of bracket, we should do best Central Illinois concession food.
I really like that. I'm a big proponent of concessions food. Underrated in my opinion. Not everywhere. Not everything's going to meet my standards. But if you're out there and you make a quality pork chop, nachos, pretzel with cheese, your classics, you're all right in my book.
You got to think, if we do make that bracket, Normal Community's got to be a #1 seed. It got to be.
It would be up there. Probably not #1 in least penalties this week. They've had several of those. Going to want to clean that up as they get the ball on a turnover on downs from SHG. But indeed, they would be up there. Very high seed nonetheless. Again, that's impossible, though. There's just so many schools, it would just be hard to get to all of them. You don't want to leave anybody out, of course. Throw deep, wide open, got his man. Continuing to roll here, Kyle Beatty Marquand Gary's got another deep reception. Had a deep touchdown catch in number 3. Probably his 3rd big reception of the night.
And since just a great game from Tommy Davis, we haven't gotten to see a whole lot of the BD to Gary connection, but when we have, it has looked awesome. Obviously the corner touchdown there, the toe tapping grab just a second ago. Looks like a deadly duo in its own right, and you add on the fact that they have one of the best running backs in the area. Scary offense.
Indeed. Picked up 5 yards there. Tommy Davis back on the field. They got to keep him warm, right? Got to finish off a stat line tonight. Davis going to get a few yards, but ultimately brought down in a pile. And he will be right around a first down. Going to be a bit short. Third and 1. Nearing the end of the 3rd quarter. A very long and interesting night in Normal. Davis, it's going to be a keeper though. And going to be enough for a first down. Beatty enough for a first down. And they'll be first to goal.
In the 3rd quarter and just all throughout the game, I mentioned it a little bit before, but besides offense and defense, which keep on back to, but their special teams has been very, very good. Obviously, they missed the 1 extra point kick. That's not what I'm referring to. Even if you look at the kickoffs, they've just been so well at placing the ball on the opposite side of the 20, what they need, and being able to control exactly how their defensive outing happens.
While we got a break in the action, another great word for Dominos. And Dominos, in fact, despite what I thought, so don't go based on what I thought, you can just Google a whole lot more. Dominos in all the area locations I could find between Peoria and the Twin Cities are open till 1 a.m. So Teddy, I think I know what I'm having for dinner. And that would be Dominos. And if you're feeling hungry, need a late night snack, CSM After Dark, the official meal is Dominos. So go check it out. Got a number of locations, no matter where you are, Pekin, Peoria, Bloomington, Normal, whatever you fancy, choose Dominos.
Tell you what, John, not John, Gavin. That's how tired I am. It's past my bedtime, Gavin, but the Dominos for sure, we didn't mention it earlier. Not only just great pizza, great wings, and something that you might not know, good pasta.
Pasta?
They have pasta.
You know, I haven't ever tried the Domino's pasta.
I tried Domino's pasta, and I almost just said John-a-Knows. I don't know. I keep saying John.
We're going to have enough for a CSM blooper reel.
It's only week 1.
It's only week 1. Only getting better from here. Ironman trying to keep things rolling. There's Gary. Gary streaking towards the end zone. Touchdown Iron. Marquand Gary is 2nd of the night. First rushing touchdown. He also had a receiving touchdown in the game. And an extra point away from a running clock here at Dick Tharp Field.
Well, Gavin, you've heard what I've got to say about it, but if I had to ask you, if you're SHG, not just in this game, but looking forward to next week or the weeks to come, what do you take from this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Teddy. I'm always a big proponent of just looking at the positives. I know that's not going to be much consolation to fans or players of Sacred Heart Griffin, but at the same time, you got to consider the weather factors as the kick is good, and it's a 40-point lead now. But you got to consider the factors, the weather conditions, the stoppage, you know, a lot of new guys and a lot of new faces. I mean, you know, comparably, Peoria High laid a goose egg in week 1, probably didn't expect that. SHG, you know, and again, not playing to their expectations most definitely. I would think that some of these teams that didn't have it clicking week 1, they know they've got a lot of potential, and I'd expect them to just put it aside. 8 more weeks, you know, next game, next man up, put it behind them, trying to be better going forward. Ironmen will boot it away. Just 11 minutes and 53 seconds from a victory, barring something spectacular. Kick is away. It will be fielded, bobbled, and into the back of the end zone. And the clock will start running. SHG will just try to figure out something. And, you know, Teddy, I'd almost treat this last 11 minutes or so, both sides of the ball, just like an additional practice. You know, I would just use it as a scrimmage alike. I think you already got to mentally put this game behind you. Again, and that's much easier said than done from my perspective. But, you know, if you're John Allison, you know, you're not going to love the week 1 performance, but now try some things out. You know, really nothing to lose, and you can really start to expand your playbook. Never know, find something that works.
Yeah, I say you go to the things that maybe haven't worked so well. Try to work on those, like running to the outside. We haven't seen too much because of the edge rush. Obviously, you still want to get downfield. As a fumble goes down, he lays down on it.
And it's going to be backup Trent Caldwell coming in, the junior. Caldwell getting his first action of the season. Probably not going to see much considering how Hanauer looked tonight. Did as much as he could, just ultimately not able to do enough to keep his team within striking distance. Just a tough evening for SHG. But Trent Caldwell will get an opportunity to get a few reps, maybe a few throws in there. Takes it, is going to throw over to the flat, a nice passing catch, some space to run down the sideline to the 40, to the 30. One man to beat, makes a cut back, a nice play right there, and he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. How about that? Trent Caldwell comes in off the bench and throws a nearly 80 or 90-yard touchdown strike.
And that's exactly what we were talking about, trying to find the positives. Great play there. Trying to see the receiver, who that was on the play, but
Jamarion Bardwell.
Not
a starter. He is a senior. He's a defensive starter. But Bardwell getting some reps at wide receiver. And a lot of credit to Bardwell right there. He had one man to beat. Didn't look like he was going to beat him. Made a nice cut back. And that's what led him to the touchdown.
Not a lot of guys will have the or just be able to make that decision on the fly. They'll just keep running, try to outrun the other guy and probably get tackled, but credit to him. What a great play. It's the first score since the first quarter for the Cyclones.
How about that? There's something that works. Maybe try that play out a couple more times, and going forward, that'll be a play in the playbook for the Cyclones. 47-14. And while we got another quick break, how about Dominos? We've talked a lot about Dominos. If you've been with us for any length of time in this second half or second part to the game, shall I say. But Dominos is the official sponsor of CSM, ClutchSportsIL.com Game of the Week under the Friday Night Lights. Dominos helping us make these broadcasts possible. They'd appreciate your business as well. They got some good stuff to offer. And how about also CSM Overtime? Overtime just dropped not that long ago, so you may not be familiar yet, but there's a lot to check out. ClutchSportsIL.com/overtime. You can subscribe today, not only giving you more and more high school sports content from all your favorite teams and conferences from Peoria to Bloomington Normal and everywhere in between, but also helps us keep our broadcast free and expand our ever-growing coverage. Tommy Davis streaking down the sideline, and another big return for the seniors who's had a big night.
You said it so many times, the amazing plays he's done from kick return to rushing touchdowns. I think he even had a receiving touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, on the screen. Maybe I'm thinking of, Gary, Arion Gary. But just a great game by Tommy Davis. This whole team, you can't really knock them too much. I mean, yeah, that last play by the Cyclones for the touchdown, but overall, it looked like a flawless performance for the Ironmen.
Tommy Davis liking his first week performance, but all around a lot to get to as we'll start wrapping things up here as the Ironmen still looking to be pretty comfortable. Here's Marquand Gary again. Gets a screen pass and a block, a few more yards. So he'll be shoved out of bounds. I think my biggest takeaways is, of course, never know, we may see SHG again down the road, but we will very likely be seeing normal community again at some point this season in Big 12 conference action. My biggest takeaway is they just have a lot of guys. They're not going to be a one-trick pony, even just one facet of the game. They're going to both run and pass the ball incredibly well with a defense that has been stout as well.
Absolutely. We talked about how they're going to look for their conference, but it's honestly, it might be a few weeks from now, we might be talking about how they look for the rest of the state as they break free again for a long rushing touchdown. Kalen Taylor on the run, number 21, 5'10", 185 junior. Look at a 40-something yard run there.
More than that, Teddy.
Yeah, they were behind the midfield, I think.
That was about a 60-some yard run. Kalen Taylor, that's his second touchdown. Taylor getting in on the action. It's just everything going the Ironman way.
That's three players with 2 or more touchdowns for the offense. Taylor, Gary, Davis, getting it done in every facet here tonight.
So things looking good for the Ironmen. Some other scores around the area. We saw Peoria High get defeated by a Central State 8 foe in a big way, 40-14. Things slowed down in the second half for Rochester, but they put on a show and spoiled turf debut for Peoria High.
That's the thing, Gavin. Both of our matchups, the Peoria High game and this one as well, had 2, not just one good team per game. They were both very, very good teams. So although you see the scores of Peoria might have lost, but SHG might have lost, but both teams are still really, really good and competitive. Just came across a red-hot opponent.
We'll get you some other scores after the kickoff here. They're going to field it again. It's going to be McLean. McLean running it out and tripped on his own right there. Some other scores around the area. Pekin winners in week 1 over Rolling Meadows 19-7. Morton winners in week 1 over Mahomet Seymour 20-14. Metamora blanked Sterling in half number 2. Sterling did not score a second half touchdown as Metamora goes on to win 28-17. Washington makes the comeback, down a couple scores, 33-27. Dunlap all over Galesburg, 47-14. Really ballooned that one. Eureka, big winners over Canton, 49-6. Princeville in a small school action, 30-13 over Abington Avon. Peoria Notre Dame all over Manual, 33-6. That's the last of the scores that I've seen here on my screen. If you have anything else, feel free to drop that in the chat.
Hey, give credit to the middle line. Looking like they're coming out there. The only one unless I was wrong, unless I'm wrong about this, but I think the only one I saw that lost was Canton.
Yeah. Also, East Peoria lost.
Okay.
And a fumble right there. Recovered, it looks like, by SHG. Limestone also losing tonight to Mount Zion. But still a good day for the Middle Illini, showing out strong.
For SHG, I believe you're so many possessions at this point, it's hard to remember, but for SHG, I think you're coming off the touchdown drive, the long 80-yard touchdown. Something to have your confidence high about here for this one.
Things winding down here. Avery White getting in on the action. Going to be a host of Cyclones coming into play.
What an interesting week 1 game, Gavin.
Very interesting. Here's Caldwell, who threw a touchdown, a very long touchdown, on the last drive, in large part thanks to his receiver, Jamarion Bardwell, who took the ball about 80 or 90 yards. Caldwell trying to keep the magic going. He's the backup, but hey, you never know. Prove yourself. This is your proving ground of sorts. Hands it off right there, nowhere to go.
I don't mind asking, who does Normal play next week?
Good question. I know they get a meeting with Normal West in week 3. Keep an eye on that one. Might be back. You never know. Could have some live coverage for it. Next week, though, they'll get their first conference matchup. So they'll take on the Maroons. Champaign, Illinois. The Central Maroons will host the Ironmen in a week 2 bout. And then, of course, not a far drive for them, but Community will play Normal West before hosting Peoria High. So going through the ringer mid-season, we'll see if they can hold tough.
It's really one of those cases where if they can make it as the #1 team in their conference, who knows what they're going to be able to do. Normal West, a really good team last year and this year. Peoria High, despite the loss, are still a really, really good team. Great team. And tough Big 12 conference as a whole. So whoever comes out of that conference has a pretty good chance of making it super far in the playoffs.
Indeed. Getting some carriers now. It's going to be Matthew Owens, the senior, getting a little action here. 5'11", 170.
Closing in on the 2-minute warning.
With the running clock, things will just keep on moving.
Exactly.
The Ironmen will just try to run the ball out on this game. Not much going on right there that time for Owens. Again, a lot of new Ironmen on the field right now. Teddy, kind of as we start to wrap things up here, got to start thinking about player of the game. For me, this is a tough choice. A lot of guys you could go with. I think I'm going to go with Marquand Gary, though. Gary, out of all the guys, really early in the game and even late in the game, was able to just do his thing. And again, that comes with also saying there's a lot of other guys that could be picked. Very, very close call here. But I think I'm going to go with Marquand Gary. How about you?
I think I would agree, but if I were to go anywhere different, you got to give credit to Tommy Davis. Marquand Gary, though, for what he did was obviously Tommy Davis is going to bring a lot of attention to your team, and you know how good he is. But Marquand Gary, although we knew he was a good receiver coming into this year, but he really proved it today that you can have a dominant running game and have that quarterback and wide receiver connection, as he had a receiving touchdown where mossed someone in the back of the end zone, the corner of the end zone, and even had a rushing touchdown. So he's proved he can be a Debo Samuel-esque player of sorts.
A lot of guys to choose from and a lot of guys that we can name tonight as the clock will run out on week 1. It only took us 3.5 or 4 hours. One lightning delay later. We got a final score, folks. Ironman 54, Cyclones 14. A weird game indeed here in week 1. But the Big 12 Ironmen come out on top in big fashion as they take down the reigning 4A state champion Sacred Heart Griffin Cyclones. Teddy, get your thoughts first, just in general about SHG throughout this ball game. A weird night, maybe not the full sample size you want. You got to see him another week. A lot to figure out, a lot of new starters, a new coach. So many factors, but just kind of some thoughts from SHG's first appearance.
Yeah, I think naturally your head's going to be hung a little low, but they're still a really, really good team, and you know you showed some promise in certain areas, especially in that first quarter where you're able to go and even it up at 7-7. I think, you know, it's hard because SHG has really never been in a situation like this. Obviously, last year they were so good, and in years past they've been so good. So it's going to take some learning of their own, but they definitely, of all teams that are able to do it, SHG is one of those teams. And I believe in the capabilities of head coach John Allison and his staff, and just to grow throughout the season. So a lot for them to do.
Indeed, they will certainly be back better than ever next week. I don't have any doubt that they will not make a good bounce back, and again, it's going to be a tough bus ride home, but SHG kept the fight up and a lot to look out positively going forward for a very new look Cyclones group. For Normal Community, on the other hand, a lot to like, but you also don't want to get too big of a head. There's a long way to go in the season. Had a sour taste left in their mouth after falling short in the playoffs last year. So ultimately the goal is let's go all the way. Let's win this thing. But a lot of positives to take away from week 1.
Absolutely. I think the only thing you could maybe take away is they need to work on would maybe be the penalties. There's quite a few penalties throughout the game that, you know, the one touchdown that got called back, they got it the very next play. But, You got to give them credit for that, for being able to, even with all the penalties, being able to continue their dominance. But definitely that's something to clean up. If you can have as great of a performance like that with no penalties, who knows what that scoreboard might say right now.
Indeed. A few things to clean up, and I'm sure that's going to be the message there, where we're not done yet. Got to get better. Got to get better going forward. But take this one and enjoy it for sure. It'll be a good weekend in Ironman country here in Normal. Teddy, that's going to finish things off tonight. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. One final time, let's get a great word for our sponsor in Dominos. Dominos is the official sponsor of Clutch Sports Media's Game of the Week on Friday nights here on ClutchSportsIsle.com. Might be on my way to pick up some Dominos post-game here. I'm feeling hungry. Hey, they're open till 1 a.m., so if you need a little late-night snack, go for it. Dominos, might see you there on my way home. You never know. Domino's doing a great job in helping us make these broadcasts possible. Also, CSM Overtime. Can't get enough of this game. How about all of our written content and more that's going to be coming, that's already dropped? 31 team previews, feature stories, and more already released. Plus, again, a lot more on the way in the coming weeks. You can subscribe today at CSM Overtime at ClutchSportsIsle.com/overtime today. One final time from Normal, Ironman 54, Cyclones 14. For Teddy Ball, I'm Gavin Russell. The rest of our crew, John Camosa left early to get back to the WMBD studios. He joined me on the call as well, thanks to him. And then doing a great job, the rest of our staff, Rodrigo Perez, the man on the controls, and Patrick Huber making his football debut for Clutch Sports Media behind the camera. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll be back more. Stay tuned. Clutch Sports Media's got plenty to show this season for football. Thanks for watching.